It's that hallucinogenic honey right here. All right, here we go. On three. 1, 2, 3. Go time.
It's already been started. Welcome into the Views from the Bleachers podcast. It's your boy Pat, the designer, the pettiest man alive. P.Kidd in the building. What's good, y'all?
Bro, when you say it's already started, I thought you was gonna give me a countdown. This man just went straight into intro. Like, I have a whole drink in my hand, straight into intro. I'm like not even framed or ready for it. He's just like, oh, it's already started. Straight for the views. Like, come on, bro. Like, set me up for all types of. I got the phone on loud still. God dang, Pat.
All right. We've been out here for 15 minutes. That's your fault for not setting this up.
Man, all right, come on with it.
Oh man, hey, listen. Sorry for not getting an episode out last week. Actually, not sorry. We were live calling the Bulls game. And be busy.
Facts.
But we'll be back on our regularly programmed schedule, heading into the weeks moving forward, dropping smaller videos, dropping a lot of content and stuff like that. So stay tuned with us. Any pre-show announcements, pre-show fist fight, anything that we need to drop for the people that's coming their way. As far as us, y'all know me. I'm always dropping content on the breeze. Stay in tune with that.
No, I'm just getting.
I don't think we got nothing new.
Nothing new in the sense of Breeze content. I know my individual content, getting my channel back bumping. I know that content is going to be out this week. So I finally just decided to like stop being a little bee about it and get that out. So you're going to get that. Hey, your mama's is a nice lady. See, I should have paused a little more to let it resonate. But I had to roll into it because Pat's been drinking. You know, angry Pat is not a good Pat.
It's not an angry drunk. Unless I drink gin. If I drink gin, all bets are off. We might be fighting in the parking lot.
But the best martinis are made with gin.
I'm not a martini guy.
Oh, man.
I'm not a martini guy. Starting this thing off, man. I mean, listen, there's really only one topic going on tonight, right? Like, we can talk about the fact that people keep dropping 50 left and right. Giannis dropped 50 tonight. Nobody cares. Giannis dropped 50 tonight. After dropping 44 the night before. Legit, nobody cares at this point. The NBA scoring is so it's so wild, bro. Like the NBA scoring at 50. Hey, that's all? That's all you drop, bro?
I didn't see that. I'm looking it up now.
Here's the tough part, right? Like iconic moments in sports.
No, bro. The craziest part is he did it in 30 minutes.
Bro, listen. I agree with you, but
that means he sat out a considerable amount of time in this game.
I agree with you, but here's the thing.
Ooh.
The best part about where the NBA is now is all the moments that were just so iconic in like the 90s and early 2000s mean absolutely nothing in the modern NBA. Like you have to drop Wilt level numbers for us to even be like, that was impressive.
I think that's just history repeating itself then. Because now we're seeing that level of scoring because the talent is just better. So you think about it, basketball existed, you know, people were, you know, they had greats of their time, and then all of a sudden you have these all-time like freakish athletes come through and they drop in. I mean, Wilt had 60 points over 60 times.
Yeah, but he was the only one doing that. You know what I mean? Like we're getting this from so many players in the NBA right now. Like we've had in the last 3 weeks, we've had a 70-point game, 3 60-point games. Giannis has had multiple 50-point performances. We've had multiple 45-point performances. I mean, like, it's just one of those things where now, like, I think it's just a little bit more. It happens frequently enough that you're just like, oh yeah, that happened. Like Giannis dropped 50 tonight. No one cares.
Did Kareem ever drop 50? Well, no, I know he dropped 50. He's done it 10 times. Did he ever drop 60?
Kareem maybe on the Bucks. He probably wouldn't have dropped 60 on the Lakers.
He's never scored 60 points.
The more you know.
That's kind of I mean, hey, listen.
The whole point of me bringing that up is the fact that he dropped 50 and like nobody's going to talk about this tomorrow because the AFC and NFC championship games were today. The Super Bowl is now set. We got a Chiefs versus Eagles Super Bowl. You feel good about that?
Oh yeah, Patrick Mahomes all the way. Get your W. I got 2 for him. 2 for my homies. That's all it is. Gutsy play. Come on, gutsy play at the end of the gutsy play by him. Stupid play by Osai. I don't know what he was thinking. That dude is about to sit there. Hey, we can't say that on stream, but hey, somebody watch out for his safety. You know where we're going at, because that man is about to go ahead. He gonna cry in the car.
Hey, crying in the car. He was crying on the field. That was such a good game, dog. It really showed. I think it's so interesting when you watch it football. It's just like, dog, it's such a chess match. It's such a, if I screw up one play, right? Like we talked about this. I don't think we talked about this on the show. I think we talked about this off mic, but when they introduced Kevin Warren to the Bears and he was talking about what it was like winning the Super Bowl in St. Louis with all the players they had on that team, the Hall of Fame cast. I believe they had 5 or 6 Hall of Famers on that team. One of the highest powered offenses in NFL history. One of the most iconic defenses, right? They had all these things going for them. And the Super Bowl win came down to a stop on the 2-yard line at the end of a game. It really is just, football is such a game of inches that it's so hard for you to make up. And I felt like that's what we saw in this Chiefs game, bro. Like, you saw a chess match happening. And I thought that the officiating across the board is really bad. We had a video on the NBA officiating on here. NFL officiating was really, really bad in this game. I thought that last call was the right call. Oh man, there were calls that you just didn't see, that you wouldn't normally see, but they mostly went Kansas City's way, right? Like the one where it's supposed to be they were basically punting the football. It was 4th and 12 or whatever it was. They're getting ready to kick the football off. And then the refs just run out there and they're like, hey, we know that they're about to punt, but we actually blew that play dead before. And I know nobody really heard the whistle on that, but we blew that play dead. And so it's 3rd down and they get the ball back. Now it doesn't turn into anything, right? So it hurts you a lot less, but it's still just like, hey bro, like you can't just like, we just doing that. Like we just,
you know what? I look at it differently. I think that's actually good officiating, because you look at how many games we've watched in which, you know, we would have had this conversation like, yo, that should have been 3rd down, or based off of this and stuff like that. So they eliminated that. Now, did it make for an awkward moment? Yeah, sure. But in my opinion, it was the right call. It did hurt them. I think the other calls.
I don't think anything. I don't think we would have said that about that play though. I think we talk about it in that sense because they were like, we blew it dead and none of y'all heard it.
It's just a matter of them getting it right, you know? Like they got it right. And so,
well, because I don't know if they did either, because I didn't hear the whistle. Everybody, listen, nobody on the field heard the whistle. None of the TV didn't hear the whistle. I don't know if they did or not, but they've called it.
You know, it was one of those things where it's like, hey, if that's what it was, and that's what you did, and you're standing on it, hey, you made a decision, you're correcting it. I'm with that. The one call I know a lot of people freaking out about was the intentional grounding, and I was like, hey, the first time that was clearly grounded, and it wasn't the first time Burrow did it.
Yeah,
it wasn't the first time Burrow did it without a receiver being in the area. They just let him do it, and so I was like, okay, they called it. Now it's a hard thing to call it now at the end of the game, but that doesn't mean it's the wrong call. So
and heck of a play by Burrow on the next one, bro. Like throwing that mug to Hurst. Getting that with 26 yards back. I thought that
they recovered well.
I said this, right? And here's the thing that I want. This is why I love that we do this kind of content, right? And that we're doing this kind of content nationwide, because I love that we're getting to have this reaction to it in the moment. Let's remember this. If we get 6, 7, 8 years down the line, and we're talking about Joe Burrow may possibly, I told you, I think Joe Burrow has the opportunity to be Dan Marino because of the type of offensive lines they keep putting in front of. I don't know if that's going to continue or not, but like there's a lot of things that go against Joe. Joe has been sacked more than Justin Fields. Right? Like that's put that into comparison. Joe's been in the NFL for 3 years. I believe he almost has been sacked 200 times. Just in the regular season, you know what I mean? Like that's what we're talking about with this. So that's the reason that I say that. But let's remember this when we get 7, 8, 9, 10 years down the road. We're looking at Joe Burrow possibly with the possibility saying, hey, he's only been to 1 Super Bowl. He might not be that guy. And remember that Simple plays like this take away from quarterback legacies. One play. Now, I don't know if he gets to the Super Bowl. I don't know if he wins the game, but at a minimum, Pat Mahomes runs out of bounds. He's got 8 seconds to make a play. Maybe your defense gets a stop there. You go to overtime. Maybe you're able to win it. But what we know is that one boneheaded play by Osai sealed the game. And Joe Burrow didn't have an opportunity to go out there after. Now, he had an opportunity during the game to win it, right? Multiple opportunities, but he didn't get that last opportunity to go win it, right? And those are the things that I feel like we forget when we get down the road. We've had the conversation about Aaron Rodgers, right? And how we feel about him now. One Super Bowl, hasn't been to another one, but there's factors very similar to this that come into play when you get down the road. So I love that we do this for that reason, because we can be like, nah, I remember it. Now we got to get an intern that can go back in the archives, because me and you always be like, I'm going to go check the video. We never do.
That's true. That's true.
Like, I'm going to pull up the clip. We're not pulling up the clip. The argument is in that moment, and then we're done. We've never had an argument that we were so passionate about that we actually had to go pull up the clip.
No. I tried. I just couldn't find it after 5 minutes. I was just like, yeah, I ain't doing this crap. I was like, hey, listen, he got it. Whatever. I just go on to the next one, scream loud, and make it seem like I won. I don't know what it is. But no, you know, the crazy thing is, you're right. But you know what this does? This makes me appreciate, and not to get too far off of this, because I really want to get back into this game, but it makes me appreciate Bill Belichick even more. Yeah. It makes me appreciate how he ran his ship and how tight he runs it, because you know what doesn't happen in a Bill-led game, at least in his prime. I can't speak about now, but I mean, for 20 years, you know what didn't happen? Stuff like this.
Yeah.
And if it did happen, that guy you felt confident. He was gone. Legitimate. Like, you didn't see people who made mistakes like that. You didn't see them on a team next year. It didn't matter who they were. Like, and that's, I mean, obviously not Tom, but Tom didn't make those type of mistakes. Yeah. So it's like that made me appreciate that organization so much.
And if you think about it, when Tom started making those kind of mistakes, Bill tried to get him out of there.
Jimmy G.
Bill wanted Jimmy G.
Bill wanted Jimmy G.
Bill wanted Jimmy G.
Bill might still get Jimmy
Bill
G.
might get Jimmy G. I was just about to say that. Hey, because we see clearly that boy don't believe in Mac Jones no more. He said you gave me a year. Appreciate that. Get up out of here.
You know what the report was about Mac Jones? It wasn't the fact that he
never was healthy this year.
That too, but it was the fact that Mac Jones reported. It's reported. And this it was a well-known reporter that did it. So I'm not just pulling up something from like some Patriots fan 2000 whatever, right? Yeah. He said that Mac Jones went fishing for answers to outside sources, and it got back to Bill, and Bill didn't like that, so he sat him.
I can see that. I feel Bill like I can see that happening.
It said that Mac Jones was kind of clueless as to, you know, what was happening with the offense, because it wasn't the same offense. It wasn't the same plays being called. And he was just struggling, like really trying to understand the direction. So he was fishing for these type of, you know, like, what do I do? Like, where are we going? Like, what's really going on here? And Bill wanted to keep that in-house because he didn't he wanted to save face. And so he sat him down for
well, he actually did get hurt, but coming back, it was interesting.
He didn't commit to him, which was weird.
He didn't commit to him coming back.
And it's even weirder because Mac Jones statistically is still better than some of the people that we praise. Like, he still has better numbers than Justin Fields. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be a better QB. He's definitely not a better athlete, but he has better numbers. He just does. He's has better completion rate, I think. Like, he's really good with the football, and he had one of the best first seasons of all the rookies, except for even Sunshine. He had a better first year than Sunshine. So it was like, it's like, yo, why put him through the ringer? So
he made the playoffs first year. So he definitely had a better first year than Sunshine. Got cooked though. Absolutely got cooked.
Beat out Cam Newton. But anyway, getting back to this game, beat out Cam Newton. Dag, he sat Cam Newton down. That's crazy.
Hey, that was the right call.
That was the right call. But what do you see from Patrick Mahomes now? I gotta shift, because me and you will talk about sports forever.
Pat Mahomes is greatness happening in the moment. And I think the one thing that being a adult fan, right? Like, for most of my life, I hated Tom Brady because I was that fan that was like, I want to see somebody else win. I want to see somebody else be able to do it, and didn't appreciate That went, and I want to see the Bears do it, but that didn't happen. Yeah, it had one shot, but I didn't appreciate the fact of what it takes to get to a championship. And I feel like now being an adult, being able to watch greatness happen in the moment, right? Like we talked about watching the greatness of LeBron happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I feel about what we're getting to see with, okay, I had to make sure. I got the TV running up here. I started seeing a whole bunch of ghost stuff pop up. I'm like, hold on, now what am I watching here? We don't do the devil in this house. But but no, I really, it's really interesting to see Pat Mahomes overcome to get to that level of greatness. And I'm gonna be honest with you, right? Like that's the part that gets me so excited about having a player like Justin Fields in Chicago, because we always talk about team building. With what we do, we always talk about how to build a team, how to make this happen, and the one thing that I can absolutely say, I'm not saying players can't get to that point, but when I look at the Chicago Bulls, there's no one great. There's really good players. They're really amazing athletes. They're really talented players. When I look at a lot of teams around the NBA, there's not a lot of greatness. This is the reason why I say superstar level players are not the same in the NBA anymore. To me, no matter the circumstances that you were putting in front of Patrick Mahomes, greatness is still happening when he's in the building. Greatness is still happening around him. He's overcoming everything. You have to think about this. Tyreek Hill is arguably the greatest wide receiver in the NFL right now.
And he had his best season without him.
And he's not there anymore. Now, there's still a lot of other players making plays and stuff like that, right? Kelsey's still great. There's still a lot of other options there. But
Valdez-Scantling.
Heck of a catch. Heck of a catch on that play.
Heck of a catch.
Heck of a throw.
Heck of a game by that man.
Dart by and here's the thing, right? Guys stepping up at the right moments, but that's the part that I think that I as an adult I get to appreciate now when I'm watching these games and having this career that I get to appreciate now when I'm watching these games is when you see greatness happening, you have to really just sit there and watch it. Because I was watching Pat Mahomes, and I'm gonna be honest with you, at no point, I think that there was, of course, right, I think there was some referee help in his favor, but when you win Super Bowls, that happens for you sometimes. Michael Jordan had a lot of help in his favor that we don't talk about. You know what I mean? Like he's still the only dude that I've ever seen in my life argue with a ref and a ref go, I need to see this full clip, by the way. I need to see if that's really what happened, bro. Because this ref literally went, I didn't see it, Michael. Did he get you? I believe you, Michael. Oh, foul 26.
No, that's what happened.
I've only ever seen the highlight.
He did legit. Mike was like, he fouled me. He caused a foul. He's like, I ain't see it, Mike. I ain't see it, Michael. But I believe you.
But I believe you, Michael. But I believe you. I will say this. The other time I saw it,
I think he was joking though.
I saw Chris Webber was breaking it down, and I had to go find the game. And he said Chuck was snapping one day. They playing against him. And he said Charles Barkley told him, I scored 22,000 points in this building right here. He said, you gonna tell me what a foul is? And he said the ref shook. He said we didn't get a call the rest of the game. Hey, do you know how much of a flex, that is,
bro? That's a flex.
I scored. I don't even know if that was the number, bro, but I know he said, I scored 22,000 points in this building right here. You're going to tell me what a foul is? He said, we didn't get a call the rest of the game, bro. Like the ref's just like, you got it.
The way you said it, I can imagine Denzel like doing that. I can imagine Denzel reenacting that just the way you just said it. Like,
I scored 22,000 points in this building right here. You're gonna tell me I don't know what a foul is? That's what you're gonna tell me right here? You're gonna look me in the eye. Okay, my man.
But you know, the funny thing is, I take this back to what you were saying about greatness happening around Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And I think this is the one thing I see is just a team that is bought in. And the opportunities that exist when you buy into something and just wait your turn. Like Scantling has less than 7. He has 700 yards for on the year, less than 700
Basically,
yards on the year.
Yeah, basically something like that.
He put up 116 yards today.
Let me see.
Hold on, I can't pull it up.
Let's make sure we speak it factually on some of this stuff here.
687.
That's pretty factual. That was a heck of a call.
So he's 687 for the year. Today he puts up 116. You know, but what was it? Everyone else is down. You know, so realistically, Patrick Mahomes had him and Sky Moore that he had to rely on because Kelsey was getting shut down for most of the game. Yeah. He still found him, right? He still found him, but he was getting shut down most of the game. So what does that mean? Next man up, bide your time, wait for your opportunity. Sky Moore, look at him on a return. Like if he doesn't get that good return, even with that penalty that happens later, they don't have the situation to put them in a field goal winning opportunity, right? Yes. So look at what he did, right? What did he have for today? Sky Moore was killing today.
Greatness inspires greatness. That's really what it is, right? Like it, and it doesn't mean that you become a great player because of it. But you see people have you see people have more out of body experience. Yeah, that wasn't that good, was it? Yeah, heck of a kick return, though. Yeah. Heck of a kick return. But even that, right? Whether he was great today or not, that's a great moment. You don't get the win. You don't get the win.
How bad it is?
A lot of backwards.
I mean, just take a guess.
Negative 50 yards.
No, not negative. It's not negative, but just it's positive. But
2.
He had 3 receptions. 13 yards.
Yeah, he's not a part of that though. He get a lot of the and I'm not gonna lie, listen, since he played well for most of the game. Since he played well, their defense played well, right? Like they were shutting down a lot of this. The Sky Moore, a lot of his stuff happens on like the screen game, the off ball action, right? Like I'm gonna get you this little bit of your dig and you're gonna turn it into something big. They couldn't do that today.
Yeah, let me see if it's because I think they did use him on the run game because they shut down that run game today. Since he did a good job.
Yeah, since he didn't play well and or didn't play bad, and I think that's the part right where even I'm impressed with Burrow because it's kind of the same conversation. He just hasn't achieved the same things that Pat Mahomes has yet. He went to a Super Bowl. But he wasn't able to get the win in that Super Bowl, right? And it came down to a couple of plays, and I think there's a limit to what greatness can inspire. And that's why I love watching the Chiefs play because it's not just greatness, but it's greatness that is paired up with greatness in a head coach in Andy Reid, that is paired up with greatness in an organization that understands we need to put these things around our quarterback for him to have success, for him to be successful. And I feel like, right, like there's greatness in Joe Burrow. I don't think that he has a great head coach. I don't think that he has a great organization because there's no way that you look at. I mean, I look at the what the Chiefs did realistically, right? And whether they win a Super Bowl or not, I hope he doesn't resign because I want him here in Chicago. But you got Pat Mahomes, you got Andy Reid, and then you said we need to protect this guy. So we're going to go out and get one of the best, maybe not the greatest in the league right now, but one of the best left tackles in football.
Mm-hmm.
How much are we going to pay him? I don't know. Pay him as much as you need to for this year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He signed for a year. But you know what? For this year, we pair greatness with greatness. Maybe we'll get something back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what makes championship organizations look so much better. The difference in this game is the fact that Joe Burrow on that last drive, there was nowhere to go. I mean, literally, by the end of it, he just was like, Jamar down there somewhere.
But you know what? I can't necessarily say it's a bad organization. I mean, they chose a direction. And if you look at it, they chose offense. And they did a good job doing it. They got T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Tyler Boyd.
You chose weapons.
You chose weapons. That's what I mean. But I mean, offense. It's all offense. Tyler Boyd, if he doesn't,
offensive line is offense, and they didn't exactly.
But here's one thing I do know: if Tyler Boyd doesn't get injured, they probably win this game. Because now
big difference. Tyler Boyd going down made a big difference.
You can't double T. Higgins the same way. You can't double Jamar Chase, and even when you doubled them, look at what happened, right?
You can only double 2. Essentially.
So now you got this
third is big, yeah.
And then now you got this third option, and you still got Hurst, who I think is a really good tight end. Like they have weapons, they didn't have the opportunity to utilize them. And there's only one team I believe that could have beat them, and it was the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you ran into a buzzsaw. It's like, hey, if there's someone going to beat us, I don't think the Eagles can beat the Bengals. I really don't. and I don't think the Eagles are going to beat Kansas City. I don't think full strength. I don't think they're going to beat either one of those teams. I think we saw the Super Bowl today. I think this was going to be the best game. The only way the Super Bowl to me is going to be a close game with the Eagles is if it's a lot of ref involvement and just it's just a lot of dumb plays. I think Kansas City will have to beat themselves, but I think they're going to walk the Eagles for real.
Here's the thing, right? With everything I just said, Kansas City's not the better team in this game. They have the experience; they might win, but they're not the better team.
That's fine.
The Eagles have the better offensive line. The Eagles have the better defensive line. The Eagles have the better secondary. Definitely have the better secondary.
Better secondary.
Hey, I don't know who Buddy in the slot was, but that man was getting cooked.
Bruh.
The Eagles had a better secondary. The Eagles have the better weaponry on offense.
I don't know about that.
They do. They have weight receiver wise. You put Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Juju Smith-Schuster up against AJ Brown and why can't I think of the other wide receiver that's there? That's like really freaking good. No.
Not Green. Oh, you just threw me off.
We got to stop drinking before we do these. We never will, but we got to.
I think that's what makes it good. I think that's what. Right. Devontae Smith, AJ Brown.
Yeah, they've got the better receivers.
They
actually, if you're honest with it, right? They've got the better running game. They have, and I mean, like Pat Mahomes is coming in on one leg. So I look at this and I say, right, like they have a better situation for them to be in right now. That doesn't mean they're going to win.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, and so that's football, though. That really is football, right? Like you can have the best team. Back to what we were talking about with Kevin Warren. They literally had the best team in football by a mile. Won the game by one play. And a lot of times that's what it comes down to. And the question is going to be, right?
I hear you, but I still look at Jalen Hurts and say he ain't going to throw it.
I mean, he be slinging that pill, my boy.
I mean, sometimes he do, but sometimes he be looking real running backish. Like, and that's
yeah,
I get you. But I mean, listen, he's not.
Hey, but the thing is, if I that's where the scheme come in, right? If I send everybody on deep routes and you so scared of me beating you over the top with them that you push everybody back to stop them on deep routes, I got nothing but 20 yards ahead of me. And I'm faster than all of y'all.
I'm gonna say this. They put some good receivers around him. He's not a better QB than Patrick Mahomes. I don't think anybody would say that. And I think Patrick Mahomes being a better QB with, I would say, I'm not going to say subpar. He doesn't have the same receivers, but Patrick Mahomes with these receivers has a better chance than Jalen Hurts with the receivers he has. And at the very least, there's chemistry there that doesn't exist on the Eagles.
Well, yeah, that's
do it, Kels. Touchdown. That's all I'm saying.
No, and I think the big thing, right, with Philadelphia to me is it comes down to can you out coach one of the greatest coaches in NFL history? No. That's really, to me, what it's going to come down to. When you look at what Andy Reid has done in the NFL and how he had to, Andy Reid's story, dog, is the ultimate, right? Like,
it's crazy. I didn't realize
I reached success. I mean, and everything he went through with his son passing away as he's going through it, right? And then he reaches success. He gets to a Super Bowl with Donovan McNabb. They get smoked, but he gets to a Super Bowl with Donovan McNabb and T.O., right? Like Philly's at the height of it. And then all of a sudden, right, they start to lose. They go towards the other direction. Everybody's looking at Andy Reid like your system doesn't work. You suck. The NFL has passed you by. Gets an opportunity in Kansas City. He thought he was done.
Yeah.
Gets an opportunity in Kansas City. All of a sudden he realizes, hey, I'm still pretty good at this. I can make this happen. Right? Like that is, to me, that is the epitome of the trajectory of success. And it's the hardest part that most people don't get over. Success is not a straight line.
No.
I seen a dude said, not to get too deep on this but he broke it down. He said his therapist told him, with what you do, you have to have heart. And when you look at a heart monitor, how does it beat? He said, if your line is straight, you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
You want your line to be up and down because the down moments fuel you to get back to the up. And just breaking it down like that, like when you see the trajectory of Andy Reid's career, that mug was so he's one of the greatest coaches in NFL history, bar none, right? And then you look at the guy on the other side, and not to say he's not a good head coach. I feel like Nick Sirianni is a really good head coach. I think that he's a major part of why they're here. He ain't a better head coach than Andy Reid. So now you looking at this and you saying, how's the defense going to play out? Because Kansas City's got the best quarterback. Kansas City's got the best head coach.
And then you look at you know what? You kind of just hit the nail on the head with without even realizing it. That story that Andy Reid has parlays so much into his players. Kelsey's story. Kelsey admits he was an F up.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
You know? Kelsey admits he was an F up. Right?
Him and Pat. Pat,
Pat talks about how he came in. They all thought he was a gunslinger and stuff like that. And he is, in my opinion, he was, in my opinion, a gunslinger. But look how Andy Reid was able to use him and stuff like that. So they all had to buy into that. And when you have somebody that's been in those type of situations and have those type of lows, you connect with that person on a different level. I mean, look at the different YouTube videos that we all watch, and everyone watches it because YouTube tells us that we watch it, right? And we connect to those underdog stories. We just do. We connect to those underdog stories until they become, the champ. Like, why do we like Tom Brady so much? It's the last pick in a draft.
Yeah.
We liked them until we couldn't stop. We got tired of seeing them so much.
Right?
Yeah. By the third time, it was like, all right, Tom, it's enough now.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I think about even today, I think we all wanted Philly to win because we wanted a really good Super Bowl. But we all wanted Brock Purdy to do well.
I wanted Purdy to do well.
I wanted Purdy to win. I don't know if I wanted him to win, but I was like, I want you to play well enough that they believe in you in San Francisco.
I wanted him to throw 2 tutties and an INT for a game.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if my team ain't in it, just give me the best game you can give me. Hey, I didn't want to see San Francisco in that mug. I just didn't, bro.
I wanted 24-31, but Purdy has a last drive. He makes a rookie mistake, and you go, that's the rookie. But he did so well. That's so weird. I didn't want him to go out like this. That's so weird how we kind of orchestrate that in our minds. But anyway, good Super Bowl ahead of us. Whether you like the team or not, I would say this: Eagles are back in. Kind of wild that Eagles have been twice in the last 3 times. Twice? 3 times.
No, twice.
Twice. In the last 20 years, Bears haven't gone in nearly 40.
Is Nick Foles in the building?
He should be.
Is Nick Foles on the sideline for this one? Gotta be, right?
Gotta be
on the sideline, bro.
And I tell you what, if the Eagles win, I hope they do so in Philly special fashion.
Let me ask you this: do you keep, if Philly wins this Super Bowl, do you keep Doug Peterson and Nick Foles statue up there? They got a statue in Philly. They've got a statue.
Yes.
But it's not as, I get it. It was the first Super Bowl in a while, but then like you got back. And you got back by making the wrong decision. You fired Doug Peterson because he said Jalen Hurts is better than Carson Wentz. Let me play him.
Fired him just to play Jalen Hurts to get to the Super Bowl.
Hey, if I'm Doug Peterson, I'm buying a ticket. I don't care if I'm invited or not. I'm buying a ticket. I'll make my way on the field.
You know what? If I'm Doug Peterson, not only am I buying a ticket, I'm buying a Lamar Ball hat saying I told you.
No, fired this man for being right.
Dang, that's crazy. I forgot about that.
And then now he's down there and he's doing great things, right? He's a really good head coach. I love to see him doing well with Sunshine. Now he's down there with Sunshine, teaching him how to sling this thing, waiting to see who's going to be the next backup quarterback to take over for him, probably. You know what I mean? I love it, bro.
This is so off topic, but you ever look at Sunshine pass sometimes?
It's a push. It's sales. No. It's sales, but it's a little bit of a push.
But I also feel like he's modeling at the same time.
Oh yeah,
that man
for
make
sure.
a pass. Here you go. And he just hold it for a real long. I'm like, why are you posing so long, dog?
At the end of the day, listen, good looking dude. He's killing the game out here. You know what I mean? He's in Florida. He's out here. He's got Jacksonville to the playoffs. He's winning playoff games.
What is he, like 6'6"?
He's probably 6'5". I think him and Justin Fields similar height. He might have him by a little bit. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? He's doing great things out here.
Blonde hair, blue-eyed guy. Oh, bro, God.
Listen, I'll tell you this right now. I will tell you this right now. If he has, and this is the tough part, right? This is the part where you don't want to bring race into it, but you kind of have to. If he has even a remote amount of similar success or keeps a trajectory where he keeps getting better, he's the next face of the NFL.
Oh, for sure.
He's the next face of the NFL. They won't talk about nobody else except that man down in Jacksonville, Florida, because fam, they were trying to make Jimmy G the face for a little minute until like he just like kept getting hurt.
Here's the thing, Jimmy G, good looking dude.
Good looking dude, bro. Good looking dude.
Hey, it's a pause moment, but you can't sit there and tell me, hey, that guy doesn't play football. That guy doesn't play football. That guy models for H&M somewhere. Bro, like, what are we talking about here?
We both grown and married out here, bro. I can acknowledge that there's a good looking dude standing out on the football field in tight pants and a jersey. Anyway.
Wait. Why you have to go with the tight pants,
bro? What's he wearing? What is he wearing on the field, bro?
He's wearing football gear. You had to say extra tight pants. Like
I didn't say extra. Now you made it weird.
I see what you did there.
Hey, you turned it on yourself.
Hey, I'm gonna leave that alone.
I love where the NFL is headed with the young QB game. I will say this. Can we stop overhyping Justin Herbert? Because he's supposed to be here, and he is not. And he got very similar numbers to Justin Fields.
The heck you talking about?
Justin Herbert has 25 touchdowns, 11 turnovers this year, my boy.
Yeah, he has 25 passing touchdowns.
Hey, 25 and 11. Touchdowns is touchdowns. Touchdowns is touchdowns. I don't know why we sit here and we like, he's got these passing touchdowns. Like, hey, did he score? The object of the game is to get in the end zone. Did he get in the end zone?
You know I love doing this with you because for some odd reason I'm under the belief, like the one thing I would say is, can we stop overhyping Justin Fields until he actually has the opportunity to do something?
No,
like,
but because like, here's my thing. Here's the reason
we are making it seem like that man is QB1. Now he's QB1 for us for sure, but we're making it seem like he is like going to run the division. I'm like, can we get this man a team first? We didn't even develop this guy yet.
Right. And I think that's a great conversation. Here's the reason I'm overhyping it, and it's the conversation we had earlier. What
you overhyping Justin Fields?
This is the reason. This is the reason I'm overhyping Justin Fields.
Okay.
When you see what a player at a certain level can do with nothing around them, how do they elevate? The talent on the Chicago Bears probably is the worst in the NFL. I mean, like, you're talking about one of the worst offensive lines, one of the worst defensive lines, one of the worst linebacking crews once you get rid of Roquan Smith. Worst receiving core. Okay run game. Very, very helped by Justin Fields, but it's really just Monty. It's Monty and some other guys to stand behind him, right? I know everybody loves Khalil Herbert, but the reason that I hype up Justin Fields is the same reason that I hype up Pat Mahomes. How do you elevate the guys around you? How do you elevate the game around you? The Bears were in one-score games more times than not this season. We thought we was going to be talking about after by like week 3 of this season, we was like, we might be down like 50 every game. It was like, there's nothing here. We might be down 50 every game. And there was 1-score games, 2-score. We shouldn't have been in none of them games. And when you look at the stat sheet at the end of the day, you'd be like, why were we in any of these games? Oh, Justin Fields had 130 passing yards, had 180 rushing yards. He threw for 2 touchdowns. He ran for another. And he had no interceptions. Or he had 1 interception at the very end of the game that went through somebody's hands right into a DB's hand. And those are the moments why I hype up Justin Fields being better than what he is right now, because I've seen players that are heralded around the NFL with talent that is top tier, and they don't make it better. And Justin Herbert is an interesting one for me with that. That he's one I talk about. Justin Herbert, I believe. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback. He can play he can play quarterback. He can play quarterback in the NFL.
His coaching staff failed him.
His coaching staff has failed him. He can play quarterback in the NFL for sure. But
he's definitely he's a top 10 QB in my opinion. He's a top 10 QB, top 15 because it's a lot of.
I was gonna say there you go. 10 is tough, but here's the thing: he has Keenan Allen, who has some of the best hands in the NFL, injury prone, but some of the best hands. Mike Williams, 6'5" receiver, great separation, really good hands. Has one of the best running games. Austin Eckler has one of the best offensive line. Had a defensive line that had Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack on it that absolutely was getting to the quarterback. Had everything set in place for him to be successful and got in a situation in a game that was so winnable, it's ridiculous. I mean, that game, like they were up, what were they up on Jacksonville? Was it 27-3?
They should have won that game.
You couldn't
score
one more touchdown?
But I can't say that.
And they didn't take their foot off the gas in that game. They were still passing in the second half of that game. They were still trying to push the ball downfield.
But that's also where their detriment was. They should have ran the ball more because their running game was clicking a little bit too. And that run game.
Austin.
Yeah, but again, you use your weapons and you also manage the game effectively. And it's not just on the QB to run to make that play. Yeah. So it's like they mismanaged that game completely. And so I don't put it all on him. And at the same time, no, like we say that a lot as fans. I've said it plenty of times. Like you couldn't get one more. It's kind of hard to score a touchdown, dog, because it's millionaires on the other side. It's like, hey, I get paid to stop you. So, like, yeah, I kind of need to stop you, dog. Like that's what happens. And I put it to you like this. Specifically. There's a reason why they started to run with the moniker that Arrowhead was Burrowhead. Because Joe Burrow,
he hadn't beat him.
He hadn't beat him. But remember, one of those games, KC had the lead. Had a comfortable lead.
Yeah.
And then it was like, hey, Patrick Mahomes couldn't get us one more. It's Patrick freaking Mahomes. He's already in the Hall of Fame. He can in his career now, he's going to be a Hall of Fame QB. It's kind of weird to say, but it's true.
That's fine.
Well, he's going to be in consideration for it, right? He couldn't get you one more. What happened, right? So I don't put that on this QB. I don't put that on every QB because it happens to the best of them. I've seen Tom Brady have a stretch like that in his prime. So it happens. Like it's a lot more that goes on in that game. But to go back to the Justin Fields thing, here's the one thing I'll say. I think Justin Fields had a great season because it's finally no one knew what to expect from him because the first season was such a wash and he was held back so much. No one had real tape on him. You knew you had potential. You knew it was eventually. And then now it was like, and if you really look at it, every freak athlete at the QB position has 1 or 2 good seasons like that. And then they get figured out. And then coaches start to sit there and say, well, what else can you do? Because we're going to shut that down. And so now I'm waiting on that part because the one thing I know is going to happen, like forget all the stuff. I don't do the rah-rah when it comes behind it. I'm not a Justin Fields hater. I want him to do well. I want him. He's my QB for the team that I rep. I want him to do well. Yeah. But I want him to have the opportunity to develop. I want him to have the opportunity to advance it. I want him the opportunity to break the passing record like he wants to. Like I want him to have that opportunity. He hasn't had that. So I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, this guy has all this potential, but it ain't really showed itself anywhere else but backyard style football. Because guess what? Patrick Mahomes is known for that backyard style football, but he's won because he could do everything else. And he had the opportunity to develop everything else. He's had the pieces around him to develop everything else. And he's also taking his lumps and developing everything else. Yeah. Justin ain't nowhere near that. So from a passing perspective, nowhere close to some of these QBs. And that's not his fault.
But does he have the ability? And that's maybe. The point. And that's the point. And there's actually a PFF you dig out there, right? It literally, it's so funny. I got to find the table. I seen it on Twitter one day and I was looking through it.
I think I know what you're talking about.
And literally it says whenever the offensive line had a good day, Justin Fields' passing numbers were like 16 yards an attempt. Whenever the offensive line had a terrible day, it was like 8-6 because it's just like I'm finna die, so I gotta go. You're not gonna hit me.
but here's the thing. Here's the crazy thing, though.
You got hit a lot.
That's any great football. That's any great QB in the league.
They can't all do that though. And here's the thing that I'll say about that. Right. This is the
and to answer your question about a guy like that. There's only one guy in the league who's absolutely done it with absolutely nothing. And unfortunately, he has so many cases on him. I'm still wondering how that's going to work out. Right. But there's only one guy who, and I had to go back and
I told you go watch him.
Dog,
he literally had tight ends blocking for him, bro.
Bro, it blew my mind. I was like, yo.
hey, when you look at the offensive line and you be like, hey, is bro 280?
Bro. It was one play where he scrambled so much. And I was like, yo, how does he? And I thought it was the same play on repeat because like I did the whole thing where they just cut it down to all the action. Yeah. I was like, man, he's doing this a lot. Am I watching the same thing? He's scrambling out to the same area. He's turning back. He's doing all of that. Deshaun Watson's a freak of nature. Like that right there, cool. He'll never have that season again because they see it. They know.
Well, also,
he'll never have that again.
When you show that level of talent, he'll never be behind that offensive line like that again.
You hope
so. He won't. He won't have to. You know what I mean? So,
and he's older.
I think that's it, bro. He's like 29, 28,
27,
something like that. Like he's not that old either.
No, but it's not. It's not the fact that he's old. He's older.
He is older, but I think the one thing is too, right? Like that Justin Fields has to his advantage that. And it's really right. It all encompasses the conversation of greatness is that he has something that legitimately is greater than I would say anybody in the NFL. His ability to run at the quarterback position, there is nobody that can do it like him right now because he has a burst of speed that nobody else has at the quarterback position right now. Like literally, like teams are saying, put 2 spies on him. He can't throw the ball. Don't let him get to the edge. And Justin Fields is like, I'm gonna get to this edge, right? That is something that you don't see. Even with Jalen Hurts, Jalen Hurts is really good. He's got speed. He's got elite speed. He's an efficient runner. He's very shifty. He does that. But like they not doubling up the spies because one, you have multiple weapons that you have to worry about going behind you. So if you do double up the spies, you're taking literally 2 people off of that man. And I'm gonna just float this mug over you. Justin Fields didn't have an opportunity this year. And he still almost broke the rushing record. That is something that is greater than anybody else in the NFL. Now, the thing is you have to figure out how to harness that, utilize that to get
greater than Lamar.
Greater than okay, I'll take that back.
Hey, I was gonna let you cook for a second, but you was going hard. I was like, hold on, dog. Hold on. I don't know about that.
Even Lamar.
I don't know.
I might have unplugged the headphones on that. No,
I didn't know when to cut you off. I was about to say.
I will say this. I will say this, right? greater than Lamar in the sense that Lamar hasn't had to do that because he at least had one. Like when you look at Lamar numbers, right? Lamar ran that first or the MVP year. He ran a lot in that season, but he still only has 7 touchdowns. It wasn't his only option to score touchdowns.
When I look at Justin Fields, I look at a taller Lamar Jackson, which is saying a lot. That's an MVP player.
And Lamar's 6'4", ain't he?
Lamar 6'2". I see a taller Lamar Jackson with maybe a better arm if Lamar ever, because when Lamar decides to throw, that man throw. So I mean, like,
but I think the situation is similar, right? We had the conversation on Lamar. We didn't have it on here, but I kind of cooked you on it. But
Lamar Jackson's been in the league for 4 years and has 12,000 yards
and has not had a team invest in him one time at the wide receiver position or at the offensive line.
I say this. He has receivers that have left and put up same numbers when they were his QB2 and QB1 as somebody else's QB3 and WR3, WR4. So all I'm saying is it's easy to sit there and say, "Oh yeah, he ain't never had the talent," but it's also like I've seen plays where Lamar legitimately doesn't even go through his progressions and he just rounds.
100%. But at the same time,
they're not playing runs.
You're seeing those players. I love that we having this conversation now because you're seeing those players have those moments and they're not winning MVPs. The conversation was based around the fact, should you pay Lamar, should you not? And Lamar Jackson has done so much in this NFL with, I'm not going to say Justin Fields level talent because the Bears talent was atrocious this year. It's not Justin Fields level talent in the slightest. But a team that just doesn't, I don't get the Ravens. They don't invest in him. They say, we want you to be, and they're probably not going to invest in him monetarily either. But they literally look at him and they say, hey, we don't care that you want to throw the ball. You get these same wide receivers. Your best wide receiver this season is going to be your tight end. Hey, we don't care that you want to not get hit or not have to run the ball because defenses are just blowing through. We're gonna focus all of this into you. So I'm not mad for Lamar trying to get his money because the only way I'm sticking around the Ravens, knowing that they're not going to invest in me, is if you paying me a whole lot of money and I'm gonna be set for the rest of my life because there's some kind of injury coming.
Listen, and that's what they know. That's what they know, and that they actually did give him extend him a contract, and they gave him, I think it was 120, 130 guaranteed, right?
Less than Kyler Murray.
Again, whatever Arizona do what they stupid behind is they stupid behind. Whatever the Cleveland Browns do what they stupid behind is they stupid behind. But I say this, Cleveland Browns giving Deshaun Watson a guaranteed contract because I've seen him run and I've seen him throw. Hey, listen, Cleveland Browns were in a tough situation. But if any of these QBs, you say, well, based off their talent, what they had and what they were able to accomplish, deserve $250 million guaranteed, it's Deshaun Watson, who even with a year and some change off, still has more passing yards than Lamar Jackson, who's played the entire time.
Lamar didn't play all season this year. Are you talking about just a career? You talking about a carear?
I'm talking about just being available and not having like
career-wise.
Deshaun Watson couldn't play last year at all. He didn't play seven games this season, and he still has like several thousand yards more.
For sure. Hey, listen,
Lamar Jackson.
Deshaun Watson's a way better quarterback than Lamar Jackson is.
What do I pay my QB to do?
It doesn't matter. He's a way better quarterback than, to me. I'm gonna be real with you. If nothing else happens, he's a better quarterback than Pat Mahomes is. He really is. Deshaun Watson, when everything was going well for him and he had weapons, he's a better quarterback than Pat Mahomes is. Pat Mahomes just won the Super Bowl that year. He's a better quarterback.
He had a better team. He had a better team. Had a better team.
And I'm gonna tell you this right now. You want to know, as bad as it was, and I think they just structured contracts terribly. But the one thing Bill O'Brien realized, hey, I got to get this dude. We got to go get him a weapon. They draft D-Hop. They draft D-Hop. We got to go get him a weapon. They draft D-Hop. We got to keep him off his back. They go get the best left tackle in the NFL. And they put him on the left side. Those are two major pieces when you believe in your quarterback.
Emphasis on what you just said. You said they got the best left tackle and actually put him where?
On the left side.
On the left side. Because you be having people who be drafted left tackles and be like, yeah, we want you to play right.
Put him on the right.
It's like,
have you ever played right? When I was 6. Perfect.
It's the same thing, man. You did it over here, you do it over there. It's like, no, dog. All my strength is here.
But you know what? I think that's the thing, right? Like, to me, there has to be something built when you believe in these guys. And even if you don't believe in them, and that's why I really like how Ryan Poles is kind of trying to attack this. We'll see if he continues to do that in year 2. But when you believe in a quarterback around the NFL, even if you believe in him remotely, you put a line in front of him, you give him somebody to throw to. That is your basic job. You want to know why the San Francisco 49ers can go through 4 quarterbacks and we still look at it and be like, little drop off. It's not enough to keep you out of the NFC title game.
They got good people.
Because there is a great offensive line, great weapons at every position, and a great system in place. And no matter what you do, those 3 things will always be there. you can plug and play anybody you want in there. And if you got the great system in mind, he's going to figure out how do we keep you from effing up.
And they may have just found the best piece without having to make any major moves because Purdy looked great. I mean, he looked good. He looked good. He looked good. He looked good.
Listen, no, we can say great. It's okay to say great. He was drafted this year. He is 7-1 technically now, and he was injured in this game. He got injured early on in this game.
We thought he is 7. Great too much.
I'm gonna tell you the last pick in the draft, and you were the third string quarterback on this team. Hey, listen, that is a level of greatness. It's not the greatest of all time.
We throw away the word great so much that we need to find another way to describe people who are above average.
Awesome.
That's good. Purdy was awesome this season.
Purdy was
I
awesome
like
this
that.
season. Purdy was awesome this season.
You know what awesome means? You're part of the cool kids now. Guess what? You can sit at the big boy table. That means you're not a scrub. You may not be at the head of the table, but you're in a conversation. And you're in a conversation that Trey Lance is not going to be. Now, I know you was about to ask, should they move on from Trey Lance? Absolutely.
Purdy won the job.
You have to. You have to give it to him. If you don't give it to him now, first of all, look, what does that do for Trey Lance? Trey Lance is always going to have to live with the moniker that I didn't earn this.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think you go into next season with a kid because I think Jimmy G's done. Right? Like I think Jimmy G, the not to say that he's not a good enough quarterback for you to win. And of course, we know the winning percentages and stuff like that with the team. But like
talk about a resume.
Yeah, but I think the thing is, right, we having the same conversation every what 3 of the last 4 years?
He is the Matt Nagy of QBs.
Matt Nagy's in the Super Bowl. Let's take that in for a second.
No, hear me out. Hey, Jimmy Garoppolo has 2 rings as a backup. He's gone to a Super Bowl on his own.
Yes.
He got him to an AFC. NFC. I always get that confused.
He's gotten them to 3 NFC title games.
He resume wise, oh my God, they're gonna talk about him like who the heck was Tony Romo? That guy, like he's gonna take Tony Romo's spot as the guy who could have got it done and should have. Like he's gonna take that spot. But we watched.
By the way, that pill was kicking Tony butt today. What was Tony talking about half today, bro? Tony is usually pretty good. That pill was kicking Tony butt today, bro.
Tony's off a perk for real.
Hey, bro, Tony was on a 3-hour run-on sentence, bro. That man was like, hey, what do you want to do here? You want to see this guy here? He's up here. Now you want to make this play here, and he's zeroing in. All right, here comes the pass. Oh, look at that down there. Here we go now. Oh, I love what we saw on that one. I was like, bro, you gonna let Jim talk?
Hey, he was
Jim didn't say a word for a quarter, bro.
Maybe Jim stepped away and we didn't know. Maybe he was having some technical difficulties and Tony was like, I got you. But he was definitely doing a perky dance.
Jim went and got a drink, bro. Jim went and got a drink. Jim was at the bar watching the game on TV. Like, I don't know what he said.
Doing a perky dance. I hate that song, but now it's like they play it so much. I mean,
I've never even heard it. It must be
there you go.
But no, I thought I think it's tough. Here's the thing, right? Do you want the guy that can run the system, or do you want the guy that might have? Now, granted, with Trey Lance, we haven't seen enough of it. Haven't seen any of it really. He got hurt first game of the season. Mm-hmm. But do you want the guy that, as they've talked about and as they've advertised, the guy that could have exponential potential to make a play? Of course, the guy that runs the system, Alex Smith. You'll probably see San Francisco in NFC title games. You'll probably see San Francisco maybe get to 1 Super Bowl. You don't know if they're going to win it, right? But like you'll see them have success, have legitimate success. But do you get the job done? And that a lot of times is the question mark around the player like that. I think Purdy is, if he continues to play the way he did this season, right, being able to make some plays, doesn't have to make all of them, is heading towards that kind of trajectory. Really good quarterback in the NFL. Talk about him all the time. But yes, high floor, Low ceiling.
Compared to Trey Lance, higher floor, maybe lower ceiling, because I don't think he'd be the same athlete. But that's also assuming that Trey Lance even develops enough, because the floor for Trey Lance is really low, because now he has to get over the mental aspect of it, right? That plays a large part in how an athlete dominates his space. How much confidence does he have in himself, and how much is he allowing the noise to affect him? So what's in between the ears? And then two, he wasn't wildly accurate when he was the limited time we did see him. Now I know weather was part of one and stuff like that, but that was his mind. He wasn't wildly accurate, but he didn't make, egregious mistakes. Yeah. But Purdy comes in, doesn't make any mistakes initially. And it's like, and here's a good one.
He really only got the rain game.
He really only got the rain game.
That's the only game he really played.
That sucks.
And they were telling him throw that mug. But here's the thing. They were telling him throw that mug. A couple of turnovers in that game. But in one of the worst conditions, Kyle Shanahan is saying throw the football.
Because he wants to see what the kid can do.
He wants to see what the kid can do. Kid threw some dots. Threw a couple of picks. Threw some awful picks, actually. But did throw some dots in that mug.
But it's in the rain. And then it's like, how much did that affect you?
I don't know, right? I don't know what vision is like on that. I don't know how, right? Like there's definitely an effect. But I don't know if, right, like I just give the ball to Purdy, because if you believe that, right, like I think it's a very similar situation to what Philly has. And now Philly's in a Super Bowl yet again, where Carson Wentz was a MVP candidate quarterback before he gets hurt. And Carson he gets hurt. Nick Foles wins the Super Bowl. Carson Wentz comes back next year, doesn't play well, starts to have a downward trajectory. I'm not saying that either of these guys is going to have that, but the conversation was just because Carson was playing okay when Doug Peterson said, we need to go to Jalen Hurts. Carson was playing okay when he said we need to go to Jalen Hurts, because I believe Jalen Hurts has this level potential and Carson is here. Like, I think Carson's a really, really good quarterback, but I think Jalen Hurts is this. Or I think Carson is a good quarterback, but Jalen Hurts is here. So I think that's really the conversation you got to have if you're San Francisco right now of, I believe Brock Purdy can run this system. I believe that Brock Purdy is a perfect quarterback for the system. And I believe that Brock Purdy can make enough of the throws that even when you try to break the system by like putting pressure on him and play up and stuff like that, he'll be able to make shots downfield. And he's got the arm, he's got the accuracy to do it.
So let's frame it this way. Jimmy G was the best QB for this system coming into it. Everyone knew it. The media has this love-hate with Jimmy G for whatever reason. I don't care about that. The numbers show that he is the best QB for this system.
He's the best QB that they brought in for this system.
Because
if Tom go there next year, championship in San Fran. Even with how old he is. If Aaron go there, championship in San Fran.
How would that happen? But I'll say this. Purdy reminded me a lot of Jimmy G. He actually has for him to be a rookie to be able to do that, which kind of shows me that him and Jimmy G really had put some work in, because you can tell a lot of that stuff was, I've been in the gym. Yeah, I think you give it to him simply because he runs the system, and now everyone else in my system gets to eat.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing. With Trey Lance, I think it's going to be more of Trey Lance is going to be out for him. And he should be, because of where he was drafted, traded up. It's a whole lot of pressure that comes with Trey Lance being Trey Lance. He needs to go to a situation where he doesn't have that pressure. I think that's the best thing for his career. It's the best thing for San Francisco, and they get to ride Purdy for the next 4 years while everyone eats. I think that's the best thing.
I think the thing is this,
it's like Tim Tebow thing. Tim Tebow thing. Tebow had that same end of the season miracle stuff happen. He got the job. He just wasn't good at it, and then he got it quickly taken away. You got to take the shot. And this kid is clearly better than Tim Tebow from a passing perspective.
I don't know how quickly it was. NFL was so different, bro. We're seeing so many quarterbacks come out now. Where it's like, at a minimum, he can do this. You know what I mean? It's different. I think it's harder to evaluate him now because out of the guys coming out, right? Like I think CJ Stroud will be able to throw. I don't think he's gonna go. I don't think he's gonna go to a situation that will accentuate that though. So
good QBs go to bad teams.
Good QBs go to bad teams for sure. Now, I think if any of these guys want to go anywhere, you better be praying to the heavens that they take you in Indy, because I don't think Indy's a bad team. I think Indy was just poorly run the last couple of years. And I give Indy a lot of leeway to try and turn this thing around. You have to remember a guy who was on a trajectory possibly to make the Hall of Fame retired in the 4th preseason game of your beginning of the season, and then you had to try and figure that out on the fly. And in 3 years there, you've gone to the playoffs once. You brought in Matt Ryan, that didn't work out. You brought in Phillip Rivers. You get to the playoffs, it doesn't work out in the playoffs, right? Like, that's impressive. We lost a guy that was arguably going to be a Hall of Fame candidate at some point. Now, right, injuries might have derailed him. He was coming back from an injury, different things like that, and he kind of got sick of the injury, coming back from injuries and stuff like that. But like, when you look at that and you're like, hey, but they've been relevant every year for the last 3 years.
Oh yeah,
that's a good organization.
It's a good organization, and an owner that's not afraid to spend money.
Yeah, I think he's gonna. I think that's who the Bears need to be looking at in this draft. I mean, hey, which house do y'all want to bet? Because you're betting the house.
I think the Titans are gonna move heaven and earth to get the number 1. Because if anyone really, really needs a QB, it's the Titans. The Titans need a QB way more than like Indiana is on the map for a QB.
You finally off your boy.
Who, Matt Ryan?
No, in Tennessee.
Mills?
What was old boy that was in that? No, Mills is Texans. Old boy that was in Miami, that was there for a couple years with him and Derrick Henry. Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill.
He's not what they need. They need to go young and they need to rebuild. He's not what they need.
I just remember seeing you in that playoff game last year where you were like, hey. Was it last year or 2 years ago? It might have been 2 years ago. Just be like, hey, he ain't it. It's like, I told you, dog.
He ain't it.
This man is good enough to get you here. I think it's going to be interesting to see a lot of
both teams.
What a lot of these teams do.
Who has the 4th? Who has the 4th overall?
Indy.
Indy has the 4th. Who has what does the Texans have? Texans or Titans?
Second.
I always
shout out to Lovie Smith. They have the 2nd. Shout out Lovie Smith.
Well, okay. Texans, they don't need to do it. Indy,
Texans need to do it. Texans, it depends, right? And here's the fun part, right? Now the Bears get to drum up the stories because it's really just about figuring out. It's not about figuring out who should go at that pick. It's about figuring out who they want. Because you want to know how Ryan Pace got bamboozled? Because somebody was like, hey, I think they're thinking about taking Mitch. I think you're thinking about taking Mitch here. And all of a sudden, Ryan Pace was like, we got to move heaven and earth to go get this kid. It's not about figuring out who should go at that position. It's about figuring out who they want to take at that position. And if it's Will Levis for the Colts, you just got to be like, hey, man, I think Will Levis might be gone, bro. I'm here from Houston. That might be their guy. That's where the games come into play, bro. And finally, we get to play them. Hopefully, we play them right, but we get to play them instead of getting played.
I frankly, I think, and you're gonna kill me for this one, but you asked me if I'm off certain people. Certain people, I am. Said Tannehill. I was like, he ain't that bad. Nah, he's bad. Okay. But you know who I'm not bragging off of, who I think is still good, who I think just needs a good situation. He kind of showed you what he can do in very short notice.
I knew it.
That's one.
Hey, Gardner got gay. I ain't gonna lie. Hey, Gardner be losing a lot, though. I ain't gonna lie. It's a lot of teams that Gardner has been on that are now in AFC and NFC title games.
Baker Mayfield still. It's something to be said about going to a new team not knowing the playbook and coming in at the helm of QB and getting a W the way he got a W.
You talk about that one win.
Oh, the one win for sure. Don't get me wrong. But there's something to be said about it. Now, obviously, it kind of showed his head of you really don't know what the heck is going on here in the last couple games of the season, right? That showed his head. But those are teams that were fighting for playoff spots. So guess what? I kind of expect them to get cooked. But for that one time, they was like, hey, just go out there and do something. He was just like, all right. I think that shows a level of intangible that a rookie can't do, and he's still young. And he knows he's not going to get big money. He's only been in the league 4 years.
I'll say this. He's good enough to play
4 years, bro.
He's good enough to play in the NFL, right? He is. And I think we're
seven coaches in that same thing, bro. Can you you got to let me cook on this for 7 coaches. Imagine Justin Fields had 7 coaches in 4 years. You don't care.
No, I think Baker here's the thing about Baker, right? Baker's good enough to be in the NFL. He is. And that says a lot. He's not a backup quarterback either. Like he's good enough to be. No, it says a lot because he's not a backup quarterback, right? Like when we look at Mitch, we're like, Mitch is a backup.
Mitch is a backup.
Mitch is a backup.
Pat, you were right. Mitch is a backup.
And listen, he's going to be one of the best backups in the NFL. He's going to play 10 years more than he's played already. He's going to be around forever. He's a backup, though. Baker Mayfield's not a backup quarterback. Baker Mayfield's a starting quarterback in the NFL. But we're at a time in sports where if you're not, like Muggs really took that, if you're not the greatest, you're not good mentality with how we break down sports now. And I hate that. Because Baker Mayfield is a role player. Baker Mayfield is a guy that you can put in. And guess what? We're talking about role players in the NFC Championship. Nobody that was at the quarterback position in the NFC Championship on the San Francisco 49ers is that guy. There is no Himothy over there. I don't care if it's the number 1 option. Jimmy G ain't him. Trey Lance ain't him. Brock Purdy ain't him. So here's the thing that I say with a lot of that. He has to find a situation for him where the system accentuates what he can do and so that he's able to make plays, right? The Rams could be that. The Rams could be a situation where that is, but it depends on how quickly Matt Ryan's going to be able to come back, how healthy he's going to be. Maybe he does have to take the Geno Smith route, but Geno Smith had to take that route to all of a sudden he's in Seattle and the system accentuated what he did well. That is the goal. That's what you need when you, and I think, right, like everybody has to come out and they're like, I need to be Pat Mahomes. I need to be Tom Brady. No, you don't. You just got to be good enough to win. You want to be those guys. You want to work to be those guys. But I think when guys have a moment to realize, hey, I'm not him. I can't do what he can do. That's the moment where they start to look better. Because they figured out what's inside. They figured out the N-word, right? Like the N-word. Sound like I said they figured out the N-word. I don't want to see Baker Mayfield doing that. He be dancing a lot. But I think that that's such an important moment in sports with a lot of guys because once you realize your role, then you can you could be the best guy at that role.
You're the best at what you do.
You're the best at what you do. It's not about everybody can't be Jordan. Tony Romo, by the way, relax. Jesus, he giving Pat Mahomes the Jordan comparison already.
That's a good comparison, but
I'm not. He's lost already.
I'm gonna I look at Tom Brady, and this is what I tell people: when you look at Tom Brady's entire career. There's very few seasons where Tom was clear-cut the best QB on the floor. I mean, on the field.
The best talent.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
The best talent, yes.
There's very rarely where you're like, hey, he's but like let's be honest, early 2000s, it was Peyton's world. Yeah. Peyton didn't win as much, but Peyton didn't have the same system and stuff like that. But guess what? It was Peyton's world. You couldn't tell me that. Right? You look at mid 2000s, late 2000s, that's when Tom really started cooking. But then you start going into when Aaron starts to be the best QB in the league with no help.
Yeah.
You look at Big Ben and the run he had. Like there's a lot of seasons where you'd be like, hey, yeah, Tom wasn't the best. Like Tom doesn't have the MVPs that Aaron has. Has Tom ever won back to back?
Yes.
How many times? How many? No, Tom has never won back to back. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I want to say twice.
MVPs?
Oh, you talking about MVP? I thought you were talking about championships. MVPs,
not championships,
no.
Of course.
No.
That's what I mean. Like, so individual talent and stuff like that. I use this all the time now because this is the QB everyone wants to see win, and I kind of want to see him win. Josh Allen first 2 years sucked.
Yes.
Baker Mayfield was better than Josh Allen's first 2 years in the league. In fact, Baker Mayfield had a better rookie season than Josh Allen. Yeah. Looking at how it all turned out, you wouldn't say that now. Right? So, like, I look at certain players who never had the opportunity to develop, and I give them a lot of credit for how far they've gotten. And in my opinion, Baker never had the consistency to develop. Josh Allen's been in the same organization with a lot more consistency than Baker's been in. And what happens when you have that level of consistency? You go from 2,000 yards, 3,000 yards to now, you 4,000 plus yards and 36 touchdowns a season. In fact, he's not thrown less than 35 touchdowns in the last 4. Now, he had a lot of help around him. Don't get me wrong.
That's tough, though, for me because, right, Baker got the situation that players dream of. Yeah, I was wondering, you said Baker been in the league 4 years. Baker been in the league since 2018, bro. 2020 really eliminated them 2 years for you.
Well, I say 4 years because that time off, like if you count like the
actual, it's 5 years.
It's 5 seasons. So 5 years.
Seasons.
5 years.
And so really, it's been 20. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
It's 5 seasons.
I think even with that, right? Like Baker got the situation you asked for as a quarterback. He got his weapons. He got an offensive line. He had a running game. He had tight ends. Right? He got the situation, but he didn't elevate that. And I think people thought that Baker Mayfield could elevate that. And when you have that expectation on you, that changes the level of player that you can be. Because now they're looking at you and they're like, okay, you go make that work. And they're not saying, right, like San Francisco saying it gets you to an NFC title game. We're going to make this work and you're going to be a part of it. They looked at Baker like he was supposed to just make, and he's not that guy. He's not that level of QB. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Tom Brady. He's not, right, like, heck, if you give Aaron Rodgers the weapons that you gave Baker Mayfield year 3 in the NFL, we might be having a fully different conversation around this dude's career. Because at that point, he was still getting the NFC title games and one game away from getting to the Super Bowl, one play away from getting to the Super Bowl with dudes on his team that you was like, hey, man, shout out Jordy Nelson. You know what I mean, dog?
Yeah.
Like, you gotta think, you gotta understand who the dudes you put Jordy Nelson with in your mind, right? Wes Welker, right? Maybe a little Hunter Renfrow type guy, right? Like, man, them dudes you look at and you be like, man, he got a heck of a quarterback making him look good.
Yeah.
You don't look at that dude and be like, hey, he got OBJ.
It's so weird now. It's so weird. I think we're finally in the era of football period where there is enough reason for you to bet the farm on a new QB coming out of college because they spit them out. Kids have access to better trainers. They have access to more professionals than they ever had. The game of football and sports in general is just better. Kids today have more access than we ever had in our era. And that's a beautiful thing, right? So now we get to really see what the best looks like at an earlier age. But there's also a good case to be made of there's some people out there who are really good QBs if you just give them the opportunity and just give them a little time. And I think we're coming to a point where instead of it being, go all in on drafting, that you're going to see more teams in both sports, NBA and NFL, have a mixture of both, just kind of depending on where their team is at. Because I've seen so many people say, hey, we're going to go just draft new and stuff like that. Or if they're not already an established QB, but the Geno Smiths of the world, the Brock Purdy's of the world, stuff like that, they give you a good case to say, hey, just because that person has been in the league 10 years doesn't mean that they're not good. They could be in a bad situation. Or just because your draft, it lasted you're the third stringer, doesn't mean that you can't be effective and build around it. So I think I'm happy to see where the league, where sports in general goes with that mentality overall. And I think that's this all this conjecture and stuff we thrown out. And I'm always hitching my wagon to some people I probably shouldn't. Baker's probably one of them.
You do be hitching your wagon to some weird dudes, bro.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be real. They usually let you down, bro. They usually let you down. Like you be hitching. Now listen, I be hitching my wagon to some weird dudes, but they play for my team. They play for my team.
Kirk didn't let me down. Kirk didn't let me down. Kirk did not let me down. Kirk balled this year.
Kirk balled this year. You personally weren't let down by Kirk Cousins' first round exit. I'm gonna tell you this: he ain't let you down, but he absolutely let all of Minnesota down.
Hey, listen, that ball. Hey, he played. The other team was just better that day. That's all I gotta say. They were just better that day. But I absolutely think that.
Hey, that's tough. If your entire career, the other team was better that day. Every season you've made the playoffs, the other team was better that day.
I mean, for the last 12 years, that's the same thing that happened to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers didn't have that team though. Aaron Rodgers didn't have Justin Jefferson and one of the top run games.
Okay, that's a good point. He had Justin Jefferson. They shut that boy down. Justin Jefferson got shut down the last 3 games he's played. Go look at it. They put that man on ice. So somebody else had to step up. They all get shut down.
Adam Thielen pretty good, ain't
he? He got shut down. Look at the film. Like I'm saying, just like today, Patrick Mahomes was sitting there like, man, ain't nobody open. I got to do something, right?
Yeah.
That's what happened to Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins just ain't got wheels. That's all I'm saying.
That's it. I think that's a fact too. I think the limitation of him as a quarterback, with him kind of just being like, I got to be back here. It's not that he can't run, but he ain't going nowhere. Let me ask you this, right? Before we get up out of here.
40 time got to be like 6 seconds.
That's tough. That's tough. Let me ask you this, right? Before we get up out of here. 2 things I want to ask. I know, right? It was supposed to be a 30-minute podcast. We did an hour and a half. 2 things, all based around the conversation that we've had here. I can't remember the first one right now. It popped out of my mind, so I'm gonna go to the second one. It's tough. That was tough, though. I'm not gonna lie to you. I had a whole statement I was gonna make off of it. What was he talking about? He's talking about Kirk Cousins being in the league. I think I was gonna say it before Kirk Cousins, and then you mentioned Kirk Cousins, and that threw me off. Well, it's gone. So here's the other one. I ask you this, right? Because of being Baker Mayfield, all the pressures that come with it, and looking at the guys that are in the Super Bowl right now, heading to the pinnacle, who was in the NFC AFC title game. Would you rather be a mid quarterback in the NFL or one of the greatest kickers of all time?
Greatest kickers of all time, because we still talk about Vinatieri.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. I was sitting there looking at that. I was like, man, like, would I rather be Brock Purdy or would I rather be my man's from KC that's winning the game on a game-winning field goal that was gorgeous going through? Like, what would I rather? Because here's the thing, you're never gonna make anywhere near the money these other dudes are gonna make in the NFL. You can make it in other endeavors, but in the NFL, you'll never make that level of money. But dog, I would be the swaggiest kicker of all time, bro. I'm talking about y'all would look at me and y'all would be like, this dude kicks.
Adam Vinatieri is the epitome of like he's made nearly 600 field goals. Adam Vinatieri, he scored the most points in NFL history. He's a Hall of Famer.
You could play longer. You can play longer. You can see multiple regimes come and go. You can basically pick where you want to go when your contract's up and still go over there and be great. You can pick your conditions by the end of the year. You can be like, hey, it's a little windy out here. I'm going to go kick in this dome real quick and get these numbers up this season. Like, it's so much to me to be versus being like a Baker Mayfield that, bro, you got the pressure of being the quarterback on your shoulders. You sit there and everything falls on you no matter what. If you mid, you're trash, right? Like if you're Geno Smith, the beginning of his career versus the end of his career, bro, like there's so much to go. I would rather be the greatest kicker or at least the top 10 kicker in the NFL than be a mid quarterback.
I would rather be the best at something than mediocre at anything. Because if I'm the best at something, I can finesse that into whatever I need to do monetarily. Adam Vinatieri has 1, 2, 3. Adam Vinatieri has 4 Super Bowl rings.
And he's won 2 of them.
Hold on. I'm sitting in front of a whole supercomputer.
I believe he's won 2 of them. Hey, here's the best part about it. Golf game on point when you're a kicker. I don't know how that translates over, but man, you telling me I'm also not going to suck at another sport? Let me get on that too. Especially golf, dog.
Adam Vinatieri is the second point. 2,400. Listen, he scored 2,000 something points as a kicker. Oh no, he is the leader. 2,673 points.
Yeah. Bro, when I tell you I was
4 rings.
I was sitting there breaking that down, bro, and I was sitting there looking at that, and I was just like, bro, I'd rather be the kicker in this situation because he gets all the accolades. And here's the thing, and I think the pressure's higher, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think the pressure's higher being the kicker than the QB. Because here's the thing,
you're a specialist.
The kicker got to save the QB more times than not. And they don't get talked about unless they miss. The QB put me in a position where I got to make a 55-yard field goal and wins in a tsunami. And now I got to be perfect.
And
or we lose this game.
And no matter what, the kicker saves the QB never saves the kicker.
Well, I can't say that because Dak kind of saved that one kicker in Dallas. He might not have saved his job, but he did save him.
But here's the thing: a good kicker can save a QB's career.
Yeah, a good kicker can save a QB's career. A good kicker saved Tom Brady's career.
A good QB will never save a good kicker's career.
No, because you're a good kicker, you can just do it. You just do it anywhere. They'll just bring you in somewhere else. They'll be like, oh, this dude's cold.
Think about it. Who was the kicker for KC when they were sitting there scoring 30 points and a half?
Was it Vinatieri? No, who was that kicker? They had somebody from now
here's the thing. There's somebody out there who's going to be in the comments, but like they know that off the top. But the simple fact that you don't know means that it was irrelevant because he had a good QB. He was scoring 30 points and a half. That's why. That's all I'm saying.
Same dude they got now, Harrison Buckner.
Okay, well that's
he just won the game.
All I'm saying, yeah, that's different. All right. All I'm saying is, we know Robbie Gold's name for a reason in Chicago. It is not because we had a good team. Good as gold.
Good.
Hey man, kicker. Hey, we're gonna end this at 1:30 on the dot on this bad boy.
Hey, let's get up out of here, man. We appreciate you guys for rocking with us for another episode. We got anything? I mean, a lot of stuff coming out over on the Breeze side. We're gonna, of course, chop this bug up, drop this over here on Views, man. So stay in tune with us over here as well.
I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
I know. I'm sorry, but I got a question for you. Would you rather be Patrick Williams or Rui Hachimura?
Patrick Williams.
I'd rather be Rue.
I'd rather be Patrick Williams because I think that there's going to come a point. It is hard to forget. It is hard to remember sometimes that he's 21. And I think there's going to come a point where they're going to have to literally look at him and be like, all right, we just got to see what you can do. And whenever that point comes, I hope he's able to perform. But because of his age, there's going to have to come. Like, there's going to come a point where everybody else is just too old. And they're going to be like, give Patrick the ball and see what he's got. Because clearly, this guy hasn't taken the step we've got. I think Rui's just a really good role player on every team. And I think the NBA is so different. I think the NBA is such a different scenario that with a lot of players, if you just put the ball in their hands, they can perform. Now, can they do it every night? That's the real question. But I think with a lot of players in the NBA, right, like one of my favorite role players is Ish Smith. And when you put the ball in his hands, you just be like, man, this dude is a baller, bro. But nobody would ever say, hey, this is the exact guy that we need to be having running our team game in and game out for 25 games.
Why do we allow age to be an excuse in the game of basketball?
I'll tell you why, because I think there's a lot of guys that have to mature in different ways mentally for you to deal with the pressure that's being placed upon you in a situation you're put in, right? And Patrick Williams doesn't have the same pressure on him that a normal pick at this point would have had. The reason I say that, most of the times you're going to a team that absolutely sucks that year. Patrick Williams' first year in the NBA, he got put on a team that transitioned to having Vooch. And then in his second year in the NBA, they said, we're going to bring in DeMar, we're going to bring in Lonzo. And now all the expectation is on this guy developing for us to get to this next step. Jaden Ivey, I think that's our boy in Houston. He's just hooping. I'm gonna be honest with you. It doesn't even look like he's playing NBA basketball. It just looks like hooping.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you look at his game, you're just like, man, this kid's got game. He can ball. He can do this. I don't know if he can run a system. I don't know if he's an NBA point guard, but he can score for sure. He's an assassin. But when I watch him, I just like, yeah, is he putting up better numbers than Patrick Williams in the NBA right now? Is he putting up better numbers than a lot of guys? Yes. I wouldn't want him trying to run a system though, because when you see his game, it's literally just, we're gonna lose this game anyway. I might as well put up 30. And I think that very much like we talked about with Baker, situations matter. That pressure that's put upon you matters. And so, like, if Patrick Williams was on that Bulls team that he got drafted to, he probably would have had a ball in his hands a lot more. He probably would have still pushed Larry Markkinen out of here because he would have been the new shiny thing that we would have wanted to be successful. And you'd have seen him taking. I actually had to pull back, even though I'm still saying he sucks. I'm still saying he sucks because I'm trying to save this man's career. Patrick Williams has taken 10 shots more times in the month of January than he has in 2.5 years in the NBA.
And you want to know why I find that, like, that part right there, I think is such a misconstrued stat. Because we're going from he's taken these shots and now look at how his numbers have gone up. But the moment that we acknowledge the fact that, hey, when he gets more shots, he scores more, we immediately seem to forget that the world is telling him to shoot more and he passes these shots up. So what I mean by that, especially since we call the games, is how many times have we sat there and said, yeah, he should have taken that shot? And how many of those instances happen in a game? 2 or 3. Well, if they happen 2 or 3 times in a game, if you look at his numbers, do you realize that his field goals attempts would have gone from 7 to 10?
No, for sure.
Would have gone from 8 to 11. Would have gone from 6 to 9, which means that we would have seen this earlier. The reason why I don't particularly like to go off age is because he's not the only 21-year-old in the league in a similar situation. How old do you think
he's the only 21-year-old in the NBA that's in his 3rd season?
No, he's not.
Who else?
Tyrese Maxey just turned 22.
Tyrese Maxey's 22, and he got drafted after Patrick Williams.
Got drafted after Patrick Williams. Kobe White was 21 in his third season.
Kobe White in his third season looks good.
Kobe White, his third season was last season.
He looked bad there. Kobe White in his fourth season looks good there.
Kobe White in his third season, though, guess what? We didn't have to have.
Actually, Kobe White was trash. Nah, he was bad.
No, Kobe White had an interesting third season. It's very new for him. Coming off shoulder. I'm giving y'all all the excuses y'all gave me. But guess what I didn't have to tell Kobe to do? Shoot. You know who else was 21 in their third season?
But I think that's the maturation process, right? Kobe, would you say Kobe White's having a better season this year than we've seen him have?
I would say yes, but he also has less pressure on him this season than he did last season.
He was off the bench last season. He had the same amount of pressure to me. He was off of the bench. He was just scorer off of the bench. He wasn't even a focal point for you off of the bench. Kobe White is having a worse season this year than he had last year. He's a better defender. He had an offseason to work on some things. He looks like a better player, but he's having a worse season.
Kobe White, I don't think he's having a worse season. I think he's getting for the first time.
Statistically, he's having a worse season.
I think statistically he's having a worse season simply because he doesn't get the same minutes. This is the first time Kobe White's been under 22 minutes since he's walked into the league.
For sure.
And he's averaged 25 to 30 minutes his entire career.
For sure.
Now he's at 20 minutes and he's getting less shots. This is the first time he hasn't had double-digit shots in his entire career. So when you have less opportunity, but you have the same shooting percentage, everything else is going to correlate down. And so it looks worse, but it's not actually worse. It's the same.
But even with that, right? Like, I think the thing is, right, Kobe White, there's a process that it went to that he had.
Like, he's never been mad efficient. Like, he's never been efficient.
No.
Well, you ain't looking for efficiency.
He been a decent 3-point shooter. That's about it.
Last season was his best season.
Yeah, 38%. That's pretty good. 38%. It's not great, right? But for a dude off of your bench, that's pretty good. But I think the thing is when I look at a lot of the process that people have to go to, right? Like, you look at Kobe White and even kind of what Patrick Williams is going through, right? In year 3, you got to become that. There's some people that come in and they just are that. But even that, right, it's just raw talent that now we have to refine that raw talent. Patrick Williams just came in and being a guy.
We make excuses for people because we like them. And at the end of the day,
hey, listen, I told you you're a bust. I didn't say I got it. The videos on this channel. I think the thing for me is that I also understand that there's a development process that comes in when you're that young. And he didn't come into a team where they said, it's your team, shoot the ball, do whatever you want to do. It's your game. He came into a team where he had 4 dudes that had already been in the NBA almost 10 years. Actually, he had 3 dudes that had been in the NBA 10 years. He had 1 dude that had been in the NBA 6. You ain't got no say on that team.
I'm going to be honest with you. That's no different than I look at Scotty Barnes, and Scotty Barnes is a better player for sure. And this is going to be hard for people to take, but Scotty Barnes went to a team that was still relatively fresh off a championship within the last 3 seasons that he got drafted, had 4 people on there 3 or 4 people who were getting the bag or trying to get the bag or trying to get that recognition. He legitimately was like the 3rd or 4th option, which is ironic to what P. Will's in, but you know who he is. You want to know why?
Because he was the 4th option. By halfway through the season, they was like, hey, take these shots.
By halfway through the season, they was like, take the shots. But who do you have on this team?
He had Van Vliet. He had
Van Vliet, Siakam.
But you also got to look at, I think the difference is you also got to look at all them dudes. The only dude that's 25 plus on that team is Siakam. They all still around his age.
Nah.
Van Vliet last year was what, 24?
Nah, because Watanabe was still on that team. I mean, this is a collective, it's a consortium of people who are older on that team.
But it's young. Like that whole team was literally just Kawhi and y'all. The rest of y'all come with me. Because Kyle Lowry left. Kyle Lowry was the other old vet.
So what I'm saying is, even with Pascal Siakam, Van Vliet, you're like the third option on that team, right? Ironically, that's what P. Will. That's what P. Will was. P. Will was a third option within that system until things got cooking, and now he got pushed. But he was getting the minutes. He was getting the opportunity. He was passing up the shots.
For sure.
The difference between him and everyone else and that are his contemporaries or whatever is some of them got the opportunity, same opportunity he did, capitalized off of it. Some of them didn't, and we clown them. Obi Toppin didn't get the minutes, and he averaged just as much as he did. That's the part that kills me. Like, I can't have a bench player on a team that got nothing but your position on it. They still ain't got nothing but forwards on that team, realistically. And he give me the same production. That F's with me mentally as someone who like loves the game of basketball. I'm like, yo, you ain't got no excuse. There's no excuse there. Your high school teacher shouldn't be said, hey man, stop passing the ball. Like, stuff like this shouldn't be said about you in your third year. I don't care how young you are. The age thing don't do it for me. That's a whack excuse. That's a whack excuse, bro.
Yeah, but the thing is,
right, you want to know why? Because you know what happens in your third year.
But here's the thing: you're saying that's whack, but you don't understand his mentality of it,
bro. That's whack. I don't care what your mentality is. You want to know what's whack?
That's the part that makes the difference. You don't know what's going on in his head.
But do you want to know why else is whack? Because them checks clear for them drafting you at that position.
Hey,
all the same.
Kwame Brown checks clear. Every one of them checks cleared, and he was trashed the entire time. You know what I mean? Like, the checks clear means you were selected. That's all that means. That's not special.
Kwame Brown was whack because he tried and he failed.
Kwame Brown was whack because Kwame Brown was whack.
Kwame Brown couldn't play.
He couldn't play.
He couldn't. No, excuse me. No. He couldn't play
at the NBA level. He couldn't play at the NBA level. No,
in my opinion, right? P. Will can. P. Will can, and he don't. That's a difference. That's whack to me.
Yeah, but again,
Kwame Brown went out there was a bump. Kwame Brown was like, yo, I'm afraid I'm going to miss this free throw because I've been missing these free throws. And even still, third year Kwame Brown averages more than P. Will.
Facts, 100%. But I think
on less shots.
But again, right, here's what I say. It's about, and this is why I talk about the mental aspect of it, right? The mental aspect of it is that your team is basically telling you need to start doing this, or you're not going to be in this NBA. That's really the part that comes in where DeMar broke it down to him and stuff like that, right? And you look at that and you see that correlation happening in these games. P. Will has had double-digit scoring games above 15 more times in the last 10 games than I think I've ever seen him have in his NBA career.
Bro, that's wild. No, he has a Kwame Brown. He's Kwame Brown
right now, for sure. I told you he's a bust. He ain't living up to his...
No. Like, go pull up the statistics. He's Kwame Brown. Like, the numbers are the same.
He's a bust, yes. Why are we surprised by this? He's not playing up to the level that he was drafted at all. He's the fourth overall pick. Now Kwame was the first overall pick, which is tough. But
at this point, it's just 3 spots.
But you know, right? Like I think the thing is, right? Like there is a maturation that has, and I think that there's a maturation that had to go into Kwame that probably messed up the rest of his career, right? Like if somebody took a little bit different route with Kwame, because Mike didn't want Kwame. The GM wanted Kwame. Mike didn't want Kwame. And so he made Kwame pay for that. Is that an a-hole move? Absolutely. Mike's an a-hole. We knew this already. Like I love that all this new stuff's coming out and we're like, wow, Mike might be an a-hole. It's like, of course.
We always knew he was an a-hole. But
who didn't notice? Mike has multiple moments where he literally goes, hey, F.
The funny thing is, though, I'm not necessarily speaking to you. I'm actually more speaking to the listener. Because the city makes excuses for him. The city makes excuses. We sit there and we come up with all these things just to be like, okay, well, you got to consider this, you got to consider that we don't do for anybody else that doesn't wear a Bulls jersey. So keep it a buck and keep it the same.
But you know what?
Any other jersey, we wouldn't give them the same leeway.
Nah, because I say this, it's a lot of people in a lot of leagues that get excuses made for them that don't wear these jerseys, and they messing up. They making excuses right now, going back to football, for Justin Herbert. You know what the reality of it is? You messed up. You didn't play well enough. The reality of it is there's a lot of times when that ball was going the other way because your team got you in a position for you to win that game, and you messed up.
But Justin Herbert got 10 INTs on the season.
Hey, and that's great, right? The numbers look great, but the tough part is when that INT goes the other way in the fourth quarter of a game to put another team in a position to win that game.
You know what the problem with your analogy
that is about, and that those are the
for
things
you to get an INT, you have to pull the trigger. I'm
Hey.
talking about a guy who don't even shoot.
Hey,
it ain't even in the same realm of possibility.
Here, I'm with you.
It ain't even the same. It's not making an excuse. It's not even the same.
It is an excuse because you know what they say? He's an elite quarterback in the NFL right now. He's not. He's not elite.
I got 4,700 yards to tell you differently.
He's not. Yeah, guess what? It's a bunch of teams that got dudes that put up a lot of yards. That's just like, guess what? Guess what? Is Jaden Ivey cold?
Jaden Ivey is cold.
Jaden Ivey's cold. Why is team cold? Why is team cold?
Pistons are run for several reasons. They don't know how to win yet.
But Jaden Ivey cold.
Jaden Ivey is cold, but his
not Jaden Ivey. Who am I thinking of? Jaden, you said Pistons. Who? Old boy
he's on the Pistons.
No, old boy in Houston. I'm tweaking. Old boy in Houston. Jalen Green. Right? Ain't that Houston?
Jalen Green has a lot of. You can't compare basketball to football though.
No, like but what I'm saying is that, right, like we'll sit here and we will make excuses for different guys doing different things.
I don't make excuses. Hey, Jay, you know what? What's that? John Wall made a good point. They ain't got no vets over there. They don't know how. They all got talent. If you made it to the league where you have to play both ends of the ball, you got talent.
Yeah.
Right. So in Houston, all them young guns got talent. They can score the ball. We've seen Houston beat teams they ain't supposed to beat because they had these one-off opportunities where their talent matched the IQ when they won. Like that's true, but they don't have nobody to consistently help them develop that. So like when you ask me personally, like why would I would make an excuse for like a Jaden Ivey for him having talent but not wouldn't, I would say
Jaden Ivey got vets. They just I don't know what the
No, Detroit is still young. Detroit is just they're relatively young. All of them in like the mid-20s, but bad organization.
Bad organization.
Right? And we all know that. Houston, they're in a collapse mode. They literally bet the farm on trying to beat Golden State, and then they blew it up, and now they're in that I hate to use the word. I hate using purgatory, but like you get what I'm trying to say. Like that they're in that space. So I don't blame them for that. But they don't have any vets in the building or any vets that were really good. Like Eric Gordon is not the vet that I want to hitch my youngins to right now.
But here's my point on this, right? We talk about making excuses for these mugs.
But I don't make any excuses for him because he's still taking an L.
But it's
still detrimental to his career. And no one considers them elite. They all just say they got good talent. They need to figure it out.
They got good talent. They're very young. But that's the thing.
That's all they say.
But that's the thing that I'm saying. He went to a team where they was like, John Wall played for that team, and they said, stop coming. We want him to shoot. That is the difference in situation there. And that's
a bad organization because they even got rid of the GM.
But here's the thing, right? And so now you're talking about what's coming up. And I think about situations that the Bulls been in. Jimmy Butler didn't get ticked. Jimmy Butler's one of the best players in I don't know if he's still one of the best, but he top 20 player in the NBA right now, something like that. Top 25,
sure.
Top 25, sure. Something like that. Sure. Jimmy Butler came into a situation where he couldn't get ticked. He came into a situation where he couldn't get on the floor. He couldn't get on the floor until they almost killed Lou all day. And even then, they told him, don't you shoot that ball.
Jimmy couldn't shoot.
Jimmy couldn't make. They told Jimmy like don't do nothing offense. Just be there. You are out there to guard somebody on the other side, and that's it. I don't want to see you. You're not down there. You're not under the bucket. You're not attacking them. But that's because he came to a team that was trying to get to an ECF, that had been to an ECF, that was had people in place that were already making plays, that were already at this level. So they were like, Jimmy, don't play. Jimmy could play. And I'm going to be real with you. I knew Jimmy could play year one because he came into a game, it was end of game, Bulls was winning, pull up, jump shot, mid-range, cash it out. Came down the next time, dunked the ball real easy. Came down the next time, spin move, pump fake, step through, lay. He could play. He always could play. But a lot of times it's literally just hey, I need you to do this now. And when the Bulls needed Jimmy to do that, he was able to do that. I'm not saying that Patrick Williams is in that same situation, but I think that when you come into a team as any young player, right? Like we just have more expectations on him here in Chicago because that's the team we watch the most. Most teams wouldn't have him in this situation if they got him here. If you had Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Nikola Vucevic on your team. We're sitting here looking for Pat Will to do more because we like, hey, the dudes that we paid a lot of money to ain't living up to our expectation right now. When Pat Will,
I don't know if I would say that.
When he puts up 15 in a losing effort, we don't praise him.
Actually, we do.
We don't.
In fact,
hey, you want to know how I know that? Because the game where what game we just lose? The game we lost to the Thunder.
Okay.
Game we lost to the Thunder. Patrick Williams, 18-5. We ain't talk about him once.
This is year 3, and we've had plenty of opportunity throughout the early beginning of this season and the seasons he played before, his rookie season, where it was like, all right, he's on the floor, start a minutes, 31 minutes a game. And we're like, all right, he doesn't play well. Bulls lose, but Patrick Williams has 10 points. We're like, okay, he has 10 points. We got to see him be assertive. We were praising him for being assertive, we were praising him on being aggressive and missing. Do you hear me?
But here's the thing. Which team?
We were praising who? The Bulls?
Which Bulls team? Because we didn't do that last year.
Well, he didn't really play last year.
He didn't play last year.
The year before.
His rookie year, when he was getting shots, or when he had more of an opportunity in the beginning of the year to get shots.
But here's the thing, and this is why you never compare basketball to football. You have more opportunities to be assertive and effective on the game. In football, as a rookie, you only whatever side of the ball you play, that's your side. And realistically, out of a 60-minute game, however minutes it is, you may see 15 minutes of actual action. In a basketball game, when you average 31 minutes on a consistent basis across 82 games, you have the ability to be assertive on both sides of the floor consistently.
Yeah.
And when you're needed to be like, seriously, every 24 seconds, you have opportunity to get a ball and make a play. But so you have more opportunity in the course of a game to kind of show yourself out. Now, we saw, okay, you're young, we need you for defense, you're good at defense, we're putting you in front of the best player. All right, cool. I'm not looking for you to score because as a rook, that's a tall task. But then it became, okay, hold on. I needed you to take that shot. All right, cool. Young, we're gonna let it go. But 40 games in, hey dog, why don't you even look for that shot?
Yeah, but
that's a problem because you have to do that. That's what happened with him, though.
Again, situation matters, right? We weren't looking for him to look. Yes, we weren't looking for him to take that shot. You want to know why? Because when AK showed up, who were we looking to take shots?
AK drafted P. Will.
AK rookie year or AK first year here. Who are we looking to take shots that year?
Oh, we looked at Zach to take the shots.
No,
we Zach wasn't there. Zach was hurt.
Vooch wasn't on the team yet.
When AK first got here?
AK's first year here, who were we looking to take shots? Because we
Kobe White was taking shots.
Kobe White needed to take shots, and who? Larry Markkinen. We needed to know if Larry Markkinen was going to be a part of this team, or at least AK did. Wendell Carter also was on this team. We needed to know if he was going to be the center of our future. AK was evaluating these other guys to take shots because he needed to know, do y'all suck or not? That is a situation, and that's his first season. He played 71 games that season, shot at 48%, scored 9 points rookie year, 4 rebounds, 39% from 3, probably only took 15 of them the whole year. They really wasn't using him at the three-point line at all that year.
How many games did he start?
He started the whole season. He started 71. He might not have started the very beginning of the season, but he started most of the season.
He started 71 games. Everything that you're saying, there's a nuance to it and everything like that, and that has to be figured into at some degree, but it doesn't negate at all that whether or not you were asked to take the shot or not, In the game of basketball, you have to make yourself available, and at times you have to be very assertive. That is the game of basketball.
Mm-hmm. If you in that,
and he was pass. There's not a if anything with that one.
No, there is, because if they give you them shots, because at the beginning of the season,
if I'm wide open and you get the pass and you're wide open, that's your shot. That's your shot.
But we weren't having that conversation rookie year.
We were starting.
We had that conversation at the beginning of the. We didn't. His rookie year.
We were having that conversation toward the end of his rookie season. We were like, "Why is Ayo more comfortable taking the shots?" And we know he wasn't called.
Ayo wasn't here.
They got drafted the same draft.
No, they didn't.
Ayo's the year after.
Ayo's the year after.
So
Ayo came in last year. Ayo was a rookie last year.
Ayo was a rookie.
Williams played 17 games.
You're right. You're right. Absolutely right. So why is Ayo more comfortable taking the shot?
Ayo don't look more comfortable taking the shot. I'll tell you what, right now, watching the team on the court, Patrick Williams looks more comfortable taking the shot. Because every time Ayo shoot the ball, I'm like, well, he missed that, and he smoked a layup the play before that.
Between the two of them, not only was Ayo more aggressive, Ayo was the only person between the two of them that has to fight for his position.
This is the first season that we've seen Ayo play at the same time. Ayo didn't have to fight for his position either, because he was he got in because Lonzo Ball got hurt 38 games into the season. Now he did do well at on the defensive end off of the bench, but the thing is, this is the first time we've seen Patrick Williams and Ayo Dosunmu play a long stretch together.
Ayo has been fighting for his position the moment he got drafted, because we just paid someone who plays his position $215 million.
Yeah, and we knew it. And Kobe
Ayo
White,
two guard.
No, Ayo Dosunmu came in as the backup point because 15 games into the season, we played him. We played him at point. We played him at point. I still tell y'all he's a combo guard. I just think he's not scoring as well this year. But Ayo Dosunmu, 15 games into the season, was the best point guard option because Kobe White wasn't running the point well. And they literally were like, let's put the rookie out there. Actually, they put the rookie out there because right after Lonzo got hurt, Kobe got hurt before Lonzo got hurt. Oh, no, Kobe didn't even start the season. Kobe didn't start the season last year. Ayo was the backup point guard day one.
Ayo has been a guard his entire career, but Ayo has never been a good point guard from a facilitator's position.
He's a combo guard.
He's a combo guard whose primary focus is
he should be a scorer.
So all I'm saying is this. Realistically, Ayo has had to fight with Zach. Ayo has had to fight with Kobe. Ayo has had to fight with Goran. Ayo is between the two of them people.
Fight for what?
Ayo has not been utilized in the same way, and P. Will has had nothing but opportunity to be utilized the way that he needs to be utilized.
But here's what I'm saying.
In fact, Ayo P. Will has no competition at his position because unfortunately we've hitched our wagon to him so much. Who's the next power forward that we will put in, or even small forward? If you want to sit there and say he's a small forward, then he's the what? No, you can't say that because he starts with DeMar. DeMar plays.
He got benched for DJJ.
DJJ?
Yeah. He got benched for DJJ.
So his biggest competition for his spot is DJJ?
He's the only other dude that we put in at the 4. That's more so roster construction. That's more so the problem with. Also, Billy Donovan just don't play other big men. Like anybody over 6'9", it's just like, I'm not putting you in the game.
All I'm saying is, like, realistically, between the two of them, if I had to sit there and make a case as who has it harder,
is Ayo better than Goran Dragic right now?
No.
Then why is he the starting point guard?
Because Goran is old. I'm with you. Goran is a 20-point-a-game bucket.
But Goran's the better player. So if we being 100% honest,
Goran just that body can't keep up.
Ayo's the starting point guard right now because there's no other option. It's not because he's the best option. He's literally the starting point guard right now because there's no other option. When you put Kobe White in at the point guard position, he couldn't play it because he was more focused on scoring. Now, I think this year he might be a little bit better at playing the point guard position if you put him in that situation more often because I think his handle has improved 40-fold. It's not even 10-fold. This monk's handle is on another level. we got like 2 podcasts going on here now. Like we done turned into the breeze halfway through. I'm gonna cut this into a couple of clips. Don't worry about it.
I know you are. That's why. I don't even know why you acknowledge it at this point.
I think the thing is that, to me, with Ayo Dosunmu, is that Ayo has gotten put in a position out of necessity. He wasn't a point. He's never been a point guard. I can't say that. He's been a point guard. He's never been a traditional point guard.
He's never been set my offense up, run. Traditional point guard.
He's never been a traditional point guard. He's been a guy that comes up, you run some pick and roll with him, he gets to the bucket, he's able to score. Because he's able to score, you got to collapse out on him. I think Ayo's just having a little bit of a down season, but I think the thing is, right, like, I think we look at Patrick Williams' second year, the very beginning of the year, and we say that that's a part of the story of Patrick Williams. That's who Patrick Williams is. That's the player that he's going to be. Why
do we say Ayo's having a bad year?
Because he is. Numbers don't tell me what I can see. Ayo's playing much worse defensively this year. Ayo last season wasn't getting cooked by almost anybody. He was one of the best defenders in the NBA among point guards. Ayo's getting cooked on almost a nightly basis over the last couple of months. Dosumu's on the menu right now. And he's not scoring the ball, and he's not scoring the ball in the shots that they're giving him to take.
Ayo is still 50% from the line.
From the line?
Ayo is 50% from the field.
He's 50% from the field.
Period.
Taking 4 shots a game.
How many shots did he take the year before?
Probably 6.
4 shots a game.
Okay.
No. Taking and making are 2 different things. So he's taking 1 more shot, and on average, he's making, like, you know how the averages break down. But like, if you really go for it, he's not having a better season. It's the same.
It's stagnant. Well, no, it's worse because of the defensive end. Like, the thing is, Ayo's putting up 8 points his rookie year, but he also was clamping everybody that stood on the other side of him. He's still clamping Kyrie, which is actually really, really impressive. That's the only dude that he's really clamped up this year. He's clamped Kyrie. It's actually really impressive. Kyrie's never scored 10 points over Ayo. That's actually really ridiculously impressive. Hey, nah. Hey, it's not even. He's playing full-on games too. Like, he's playing the full game. It's actually impressive. But here's the thing, right? I said this coming into the season. Ayo's probably going to have a sophomore slump.
I don't think he's having a sophomore slump. I think he doesn't. When you are, he is a. I can't even use that analogy.
There's no way you can't say he don't look worse.
No. I'm not saying he don't look bad. But what I'm saying is, when you are capable of so much more, and you're in a role that don't fit you, you just look bad after a while, because now your heart's not in it. Like, you know how that is when you're doing something that just don't fit your skill set. Like, you're decent at it, you can make money from it, but you really can't go hard because it's not what you want to do. It's actually your day job versus what you want to do as a podcaster. Phenomenal podcaster. Like, you can finesse your job, you can make good money with your job, but in your heart, I ain't no master. What I want to do. I'm no master journeyman out here, right? I ain't no scrub. I ain't no scrub, but
I'm Baker Mayfield. I'm Baker Mayfield. I throw some picks every now and then.
Right, so you know it, right?
It might be a little low. Hold on, let me. I'm Jimmy. I'm Jimmy.
Okay.
If I'm with a good team, we can get to a championship.
Hey, hype yourself up a little bit. I don't know about what you just said. Right?
You still in on Baker? That was the whole beginning. I don't know. Anyway.
hey, I like Jimmy G. Good looking guy. I mean, but I'm just saying, like, you know, and you feel it. Ayo right now, I promise you, if Ayo was on a different team, which is probably why I want Ayo to get traded. If Ayo was on a different team and they let him do what he do, he'd have an Anthony Simons type growth. He's that player.
I don't know. And
big closeout games, big shot taker, wants to be a big shot maker. You got to give him wings. He ain't got wings here.
You also have to let these mugs develop. We so quick in modern sports. It pisses me off how quick we are to making a narrative on people. Even me, right?
You can't develop here.
Here's the thing. So Scotty Barnes can't develop in Toronto?
No. You're not hearing me, bro.
No. I'm talking about a sophomore slump that he's having right now. Can Scotty Barnes develop in Toronto?
He can't. Ayo can't develop here.
Why?
I'm not saying it because it's too much going on here. You can't develop two young talent on one end while still trying to figure out and curtail to how you even gonna develop and even get your big three together. It's not possible. It's not. It didn't even happen in Golden State. You know what happened in Golden State?
They traded Monte. And then they just went all the way young. They traded Monte, went all the way young.
Even now, Wiseman can hoop. Wiseman don't fit what they doing.
Wiseman be hurt.
And he hurt. No, he ain't
Wiseman, why he just got back yesterday.
Wiseman,
he's been out for like another 2.5, 3 weeks.
Wiseman came back and he was having some up and down moments, and they were just like, the narrative started to be, I don't know if we can go further with this guy. And so they sent him back down to the G League. He started cooking in the G League again. They brought him back up. Then he got hurt.
That is true. They sent him down to the G League facts. But I think that's a really good situation to look at with it, right? What the Bulls live up to is not what the expectation of this team was. Right? What they live up to is not what the expectation was.
Hold on, say that. I don't know what you mean.
How they've played is not what we thought they were going to do coming into the season, right?
How they played is not what we thought they were.
So we thought the Bulls were going to be probably a 6th, 5th seed.
We thought they were going to be better.
We thought they were going to be better. They're playing worse.
I had to wrap my mind around it.
So you're coming into this situation to me, right? And you're talking about a player that is right, like a James Wiseman situation. He goes to a situation where you're nobody here. I need you to understand it. You are a big dude down low. I don't want you to do that much. I want you to exist in this system. James Wiseman probably can go off and give you 30 points and 15 rebounds. He looked like he had that level of talent. I thought he had that level of talent coming out of college, right? And he got to the NBA, got hurt. But when you saw him play on the court, he looked really, really good. But him looking good did not coincide with the Golden State Warriors getting wins. Him looking good was like, you look good. We got to win these games, though. But so you do a lot less, and we're going to keep running the formula we've been running for this to work. Jordan Poole, to me, is a different situation because he just does stuff the same as Steph, just not as good as Steph.
Jordan, that's a great segue. Jordan Poole fits what's happening because Golden State has developed a system that's more guard oriented.
Yeah.
And
that's a hard pivot to just be like, all right, let's throw a 7-footer in there. That should be a focal point.
So essentially what we're saying, the same thing that's happening with the Bulls. Yeah. The situation, you can't develop Wiseman the same. Because he's not going to get the same touches to be the person that was the number 2, or he was a top 4 pick. He's number 1. You're not going to be able to develop him because this is not what my system is set up for.
Was him an Ant 1? I think he was 1.
Ant was 2.
Ant was 2, so he was 1.
And LaMelo Ball was 3.
And LaMelo was 3, and P. Will was 4.
P. was 4. So like you can't develop him. Your system doesn't allow it. Now they needed a big man at the time, but now Kevon Looney has taken a leap. They won another chip and stuff like that. Like Kevon Looney fits that. He's an unsuspecting. I'm gonna get you my 10 and 10, and make some get stops. And you know what I'm saying. But he's good with that. Yeah, Kevon Looney is not trying to be the face of a franchise. Wiseman has face of the franchise aspirations. He's a number 1 pick.
Yes,
right. So you can't develop that here. Ayo, skill set wise, we got him in the 2nd round. We shouldn't have got him in the 2nd round. Ayo has the ability to be a Tyrese Maxey in his league. He absolutely has that ability in my league. He can't get that here. He's not going to have the same leeway. The only reason why Tyrese Maxey is even getting that leeway because James Harden is a shell of himself and no one wants to admit it.
The tough part with that take, and I think it's the interesting thing with P. Will.
And we so big hell bent on P. Will. We want P. Will. We need P. Will.
I think the thing is people were more on Ayo because Ayo's from the town. Like as soon as Ayo got here and actually showed something, Muzz was like, and Muzz was going wild too. They was like, don't he kind of look like Derrick Rose? No. What are y'all doing, bro? Like, don't he kind of look like that? No. Like he made he made an up and under layup. A lot of players have done that. But I think
AK bet the farm on P. Will.
he bet the farm on P. Will.
He turned down trades for players that we should have grabbed for P. Will.
Sure,
like
for sure.
So that the focus is I need this kid to shoot Billy.
but here's the thing, right? Even in that game where the Zach LaVine clip comes out where Zach yells at him, you got to shoot. One, he made the right pass. I want him to take that shot. He made the right pass, but I want him to take that shot.
Up 20, I need you to take that shot.
I take that shot. But even in that game, he shot the ball 12 times. He had 17 points, I believe, in that game, right? Like the one thing that I'm seeing recently where they've had to say, and over the last couple of games, they've just had to say it, right? Like he had 18 points. He shot the ball 12 times. He had 10 rebounds. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm tweaking. I'm looking at Scotty Barnes. I'm like, dang, Pat Will did this? What happened? Hey, bro. I called the game when I didn't see that. No, he had 16 points. He took 11 shots, 2 for 4, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, steal and a block. A couple of nice plays in that. And here's the one thing that I'll say. At least over the last, I'll say, 18 games that the Bulls have been playing better, and they've had to rely on their young dudes more. When they've passed the ball to P. Will, and P. Will has taken a shot, and he's taken a shot more than we've ever seen him taking in his career, more times than not, he's been able to knock down the open look. When we pass the ball to Ayo Dosunmu, you got to be able to knock down the open look before you can knock down the tough shot. And Ayo Dosunmu just ain't been knocking down the open look. Zach LaVine keep giving Ayo the ball in the corner wide open. And it's like, hey, bro, I want you to be this. I want you to take this lead. But you got to help yourself a little bit. I mean, you can't get better shots than what he's getting. It's the shortest 3-point shot you can take, and it's wide open, and you a score. I don't look at Ayo Dosunmu as a facilitator. I don't. I'd be like, hey, listen, get this man the ball so he can shoot.
He's missing them right now. He's shooting worse from 3 than he's shot. His rookie season, he shot nearly 37%. He's shooting nearly 30%. He's having that moment. I give you that.
I realized it was that bad.
But again, it's bad. But he's only taking 1 or 2 a game. 2.7.
He's taking almost 3 a game.
Taking almost 3 a game. He's making 1 of the 3. That's still. He's making 0.8. I mean, if you really do the math, he shoots just like Zach shoots.
I think the problem is, if you extrapolate it out, I think the problem is that, again, right? Like it's been the moments where we've talked about the other guys stepping up. How do the other guys step up? I need y'all to step up. I need y'all to be able to make this play. I need y'all to be able to, you know what I mean? And I think that's the part where we've had moments where we've had moments where Ayo and P. Will stepped up, and we sitting there looking at our stars like, hey, what the F y'all doing? But I think, right, like the one thing that irks my soul with a lot of this, and even having these conversations right now, is that, right, like even when I said P. Will was a bust, I didn't say get rid of P. Will. I just said he was a bust. Figure out how to make him work. At this point, you got him. You've turned down all these other trade packages for him. Figure out how to make him work, because now his trade value isn't going to be much. So now you stuck with him. You got to figure out how to make him work. He's 21 years old. Let's make it happen. With Ayo Dosunmu, he's in year 2. Let's figure out how to get him out of his sophomore slump, because he's absolutely in one right now. It looks bad. Defensively, looks awful. Offensively, not doing as much, right? Like, you got to be better. But we're so quick to move off of any piece in this league when they have a down month. And I'm not talking about a season. I'm talking about a month. At least back in the day, right? Like you had a bad season, Muggs will start talking about like, hey man, he might not be the answer. And I think the hard part with that is none of y'all are winning the championship. Realistically, there are 4 teams that are going to win the championship here. Maybe
4 teams that can compete for one.
And the whole NBA. And you want to know why? Because when you look at the player on their team, you say, I ain't got nothing for that. I just hope I can outscore that. I think realistically, you're talking about Boston. I think you're talking about, I don't know how KD's going to come back. I would have said Brooklyn, but I don't know how KD's going to come back. I don't even know if you're talking about Milwaukee right now because of the injury issues that they're having. And they're my pick to win the finals. But I think I'm really kind of off of them. I mean, I think you're talking about Denver. I think you're talking about, it might just be 2, bro. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm trying to think. Maybe the Clippers. Clippers are weird. I don't really know. I'm waiting for the last stretch of the season to see what that's actually going to be when they let Kawhi play. But I mean, realistically,
he been cooking lately.
He been cooking when he's on the court for sure. But he been balling out. Now they starting to let him kind of get into his rhythm and stuff like that and let him go. And you just kind of forget, like, oh yeah, this dude's ridiculous.
It's only 6 teams for me.
That's a lot. Who?
Well, it's not a lot because it's 4 in one conference and 2 in the other.
That's half the playoffs, though.
It's 4 in one conference.
Who?
So obviously you got I go top, Celtics,
Boston,
of course.
Denver.
Boston. I go Boston. It goes I don't know why I was about to say Boston then Celtics. I go Boston, I go Sixers, I go Bucks, I go Nets. Here's the thing. All of those teams are above 600, not 500. And even with KD down, yeah, they're 4 and 6. But they're 4 and 6.
They beatable though. They real beatable. And I just don't know how KD's gonna come back. I expect him to come back and be KD. But if KD comes back and he's not 100%,
look at the games they lost though. They lost some of these games they lost in real close. Like they lost against Philly. That was a close game. They lost by 4.
Well, I mean, you got Philly in there. I don't believe in Philly that much. I think Philly is just going through a stretch where like Joel Embiid is finally hitting his stride a little bit, and he's that good of a player. But if I got to beat you 7 times,
KD goes down. They lose to the Celtics by 10. Winnable game. They beat the Thunder. Beat them. The Thunder been squeaking out some wins against a lot of people. I don't count that against them.
Thunder is weird.
Then they beat the Jazz.
They lost to the Pistons.
They lost to the Pistons.
That's a bad loss, bro. But I think the thing is, right, like that's kind of to my point about KD.
But look at the numbers. Look at the totals. Look at how much they lost by. They lost to the Pistons by 8.
No, I'm with
you. They lost to the Sixers by 4.
But I think
they lost to the Nets Suns by 5. If you those close games, 50% KD, those are winnable games. Those are one games.
I think
one game.
I think that's the thing, right? Like you have to have KD to beat the Pistons. That's a big drop off. You know what I mean? Like that tells you that your team construction ain't right. The focal point of your team is 2 dudes. I mean, bro, who's number 4 on the Brooklyn Nets?
It's Sumner. Eric Sumner.
You're looking at it, ain't you?
Mm-mm.
Oh, well, he looking at it. That man lying, bro. Looking right at his name right now.
No. Hey. I said Eric. It's no. You want to know why I say that?
It's Edmund Sumner. But here's the thing, right? Like
no. Wait, hold on. Let me tell you. When I looked at how they lost, and this was because he's on my fantasy team. I got him on my fantasy team. I was like, who the heck else put up 20 something points? And I was like, who the heck is he put 24 points up in like half the game? He didn't play the whole game.
He played 19 minutes, bro.
Did he really?
He only played 19 minutes. It's a heck of a stat line. But I think here's the thing, right? Like you had all of that happen and you lost. Like it was him, it was Claxton and Sumner. Those were the guys that scored and you lost. And so, right, like I think situations like that where, okay, that looks good. That looks like a good team fight, win or loss, right? He ain't getting them shots if KD's there. Nick Claxton is right now the second option on his team, 27-13. My man's been playing unbelievable. Nick Claxton still gets beat by every legitimate big man in the NBA.
Because he's not a center.
He's not a center. And they playing him as center. 4. Yeah, he's a power forward. He might be really, how tall is he?
No, he a 4. He a 4. He ain't going down.
I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. He a 5. He got to put some weight on, but he a 5. That man 6'11.
KD 6'11.
I would have. KD could play the 5. Hey, you want to know why? Because KD can shoot. Hey, listen, if you can't shoot, get your butt down there and rebound, brother.
Hey, dog. All I gotta say is this: he playing with some attitude. Nick is playing with some attitude.
KD also. Am I finna look this up? KD weigh more than this boy?
Oh no, KD weigh just as much as Giannis.
Hold up.
Nick Claxton weighs 215 pounds.
215 pounds.
I weigh 10 pounds less than Claxton. That's wild.
Durant is 240 pounds, bro.
Durant looks frail, but he is not frail.
Hey, bro, he is 240 pounds. Giannis is 243.
How much does Joel weigh?
Joel almost 3, I think.
Ooh, Joel 280. Never mind.
Yeah,
Ain't no
Joel
comparison right
3.
there.
Yeah, Joel almost 3. And that's what I mean, right? Like, so it looks great, but there's no center in whatchamacallit. There's no center in Detroit. You know what I mean?
They need Andre Drummond back.
Somebody's gonna get him because I don't think he's gonna be on this team long term. I don't get that. That's a whole different conversation. But I think the point that I'm making with a lot of this is that, right, like, I look at that team and I say, hey, especially as a contender, I'm like, if KD's there, for sure, because you just need other guys to do little bitty things and they can do that. But I need to know what KD's gonna come back and look like, because ain't this another MCL sprain?
Yeah, it wasn't bad though.
Hey, listen, it ain't. I always say this: every injury ain't bad when it's not you.
And the simple fact that
when you don't got to run on that mug, you know what I mean? Like that's what every injury is like. Oh, that's like, hey, look, you see DJJ roll that ankle and come back in the game like, oh, it wasn't that bad of an ankle sprain. Yeah, it ain't your ankle, bro. That mug ain't gonna roll up fat tomorrow for you.
Yeah, like Kevin Durant is not gonna. For one, they're trying to hold him out to All-Star break because they're a lock for the playoffs. Kyrie's cooking at a high. Them together, they were on a nice little run. There's no need to rush him back. That the Nets are not going to drop to the 10th seed. Like, that's not going to happen right now. So I keep them out as long as possible.
10th, they might drop a little bit.
They ain't going to drop to the Bulls.
I said not the 10th, but they going to drop.
For them to drop to they're 4. So
they're 4 and they're 30 and 19. They could drop to 5 by the end of this week. They could be at 6 by the end of this week, actually, because Miami been cooking. They probably not gonna drop below the Nets or below the Knicks.
They're not gonna drop tomorrow because they playing the Lakers without AD and LeBron.
But them the games they've been losing. Hey, them the games them was a lose. All of a sudden, Rui Hachimura come out and have a 40-point night. He finna cook Nick Claxton.
The Bulls need to make one good trade. They need to be trade partners with the Wizards. They need to get Kyle Kuzma. They need to go ahead and Kuzma. Or they need Kuzma. Re-up in the player don't mean nothing. In fact, you do realize that teams will actually make they didn't re-up on him, but anyway, even if they did, teams will take that because now I have you locked in long term.
Yeah.
Like, why I would love for us to take up KG's advice and trade for Dame? Because Portland gets Zach for the next 4 years, guaranteed. We get Dame for the next 2. And the money's the same.
I mean, I'm fine with it.
And they get to move on.
I think the difference is there, right? Like that's kind of the conversation we had about the difference in nice players and superstars. I don't know if Dame Lillard is a star level player that has superstar level talent. You know what I mean? Like he's one of the best point guards in the NBA.
But there you go, right?
And has never had help. I can't say that he has that help, but he's never had enough help, right? I think if he came here, he would have enough help.
Dame is a legit point guard who can shoot the lights out. 7 assists a game.
Dame is still a scorer.
Dame is a scorer.
Dame is a scorer for his point guard. The thing is, right, like 7 assists a game looks great, but we know how to get in them joints, right? Like, I'm finna pump fake and everybody's closing out on me, and I'm gonna just be like, there you go. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like he's looking to be pass first all the time.
Dame right now. Let me fact check this before I say it. But then we got to wrap this up. I didn't talk to you for 2.5 hours.
Bro, we've been on here for 2.5 hours, bro. I'm dropping this in like 3 parts at this point because.
All right, Pat. You know what? We're gonna continue this conversation a little bit. You know why we do this is because I feel like Charles Barkley now. You know why we do this? Because we actually have been wanting to talk just general sports, but we pigeonholed ourselves. No, you didn't pigeonhole. You started something that you can't leave. And
I don't want to leave either. I hate these teams, but I love them all.
But talking regular basketball. It gets the people going. Anyway, let's get about
it. We just need that refreshment. That's all it is, bro. That's all it is. We need that break from the Chicago Bulls or the Chicago Bears, bro. We need just a I'm good. I'm back. We'll probably drop all the audio at once on this mug. And then I probably won't actually. I'm probably gonna drop this in like 3-4 parts throughout the week, bro. We just did a 2.5-hour podcast. It's like breaks every rule. We came in here for 30 minutes, just came to run our mouth. Appreciate y'all for showing love as always.
For the record, because I know you're gonna play this back, we start talking about Patrick Williams around the 1:30 mark. Anyway.
Oh, I'm gonna have to cut it anyway, so it don't matter. What I was gonna say? Oh, by the way, I love that Chuck also said he was the second greatest player in the NBA at that time, and there's nobody else that you. He said that on. He said that on the. What's the? Is it Pivot? It's not Pivot. What's his name podcast with Channing and all them. Is it the Pivot podcast?
Yeah, that's Pivot.
It's the Pivot podcast. He said he was on Pivot, and Channing said he says it was a lot of better players than Charles Barkley on the Dream Team. Let's keep it a buck. And Chuck looked at him and said, "Who?" He said, "It was only one MF on that team better than me." He said, "Who was they?" He said, "Jordan." He said, "You was better than Magic?" Heck yeah. You was better than Bird? Yes.
On that Dream Team, he was. On the year that he made the Dream Team was the year he won MVP.
It's the year he won MVP. It's the year he went to the NBA Finals.
Hey, guess what? There was only one player better than him at that time.
Bro, listen, I give that man credit, but I just love when people stand up for themselves and got their numbers to back it up. That's like what's his name? When Shannon told DK Metcalf, "Hey, bro, you better Google me." I don't know who you think. I don't know who you think I am, but you need to go look up my number. Hey, DK was like, what Shaq say? I wasn't familiar with your work. I didn't know that you were like that. Hey, man,
you had it like that.
I appreciate we appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love as always, man. If you have a different opinion on anything that we said during this podcast, man, you might just be sitting in a different section in the stands. Views from the Bleachers podcast.